All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Assemble. My name is High Ruler, and today is Avengers Weekly Recap number 6. As always, joined by Stardust. Stardust, how you doing today?
Doing all right, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. All right, guys. So this week we got quite a few things to cover. Future Imperfect recap, the Square Enix, whatever you guys say nowadays. The recap for that, as well as the charity event that went on, the dev stream as well. So we got 4 major topics today, and we'll try to fit in some Q&As at the end here. But let's start off with the. What do you want to start off with, Stardust? What do you think?
Let's talk about Future Imperfect. I think.
All
I think
right.
that's the.
The big
think
thing
we
that
should
everyone
start
wants to
off.
talk
Yeah,
about. Yeah. Okay.
definitely. The only big thing this week, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, well, if you count Future Imperfect, maybe it wasn't so big, right? And I mean, that's not that. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a shade, anyways, because I think if we just want to dive right into it, the one thing I have a complaint about Future Imperfect is that it was just very short. It was just small. And unfortunately, I wanted more out of that, and we never got more out of it. So, what did you think of it?
It feels like to me that the story has so many. Can we go into spoilers or not?
Yeah. No. Totally. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So basically, there's so many plot threads
Mm-hmm.
that it disappoints me that they don't go for like the obvious Maestro thing with no interaction between Bruce and Maestro, no
Right.
aftermath of Clint with Maestro, right? And the thing is, we know well. I mean, if you unlock the intelligence files, because I've been lucky enough to do that, you
Mm-hmm.
notice that Clint and Bruce are buddies. Like they're probably the closest two
Right.
in the team. So you would think that seeing like an evil version of your friend would kind of spook you out a little bit. Like you just had to
Mm-hmm.
shoot him with an arrow because he's gone insane from everyone dying and stuff. You'd think
Right.
maybe you'd go to the present and be like, Bruce, you all right, mate? like,
Mm-hmm.
but there's those plot threads kind of don't happen. And there's another thing that I dislike as well is that at the end we find Nick Fury finally in this like little time
Bubble.
frozen zone, yeah, bubble thing, and
Yeah.
it's kind of just like we found him. Okay, bye. Do you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah. It's
it
like
feels
very like give
very
up on it. You know what I mean?
yeah, like
Yeah.
old Clint's just kind of like that's shit, and then he tells Clint to like keep going on, and that's it. And it's for me as someone who's not a big Hawkeye fan,
Mm.
I can't get over my head that they think that Clint would have made a huge difference in this invasion. I can't for the life of me because it felt like the story was basically trying to tell us if Clint was there, the Avengers would do a lot better. Why would they?
Right.
What does Clint
Right.
have that Thor doesn't? Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's and it's no disrespect to Clint. I would have said this if it was literally just I don't know, Spider-Man, Panther, She-Hulk, any of the other heroes that have been like data mined or whatever. It feels like unless there's a specific time reason, like maybe Clint for some reason has the genius idea to contact Captain Marvel, it just feels like why are you acting like Clint is this god archer? Like we've witnessed him take down Maestro, who survived the apocalypse,
Yep.
him an old man, and it was just like really? You kind of made this supreme leader dude who's been ruling the wastelands look a bit
Yeah.
crap.
Like a bitch,
yeah,
essentially.
like a bitch. Yeah, because in the cutscene, because I know people will say we had the Avengers with you, but it's like yeah, but the cutscene, the story cutscene, just shows old man and Clint
Younger.
as we know
Yeah.
him, and it's like eh, like
Yeah. No, I mean that's
you
true.
know, it's weird to me.
Yeah.
And there's
That's.
so many different there's so many
No, you're good.
different plot things in there where I think to
Yeah.
myself like a little bit more would have been all right. Like explain to us what Clint would have done if he was there in a different way that maybe would have changed something. Maybe we see it in the future, but as in like our current timeline then, uh but at the moment I can't seem to get my head around what Clint would do that anyone
Mm.
else wouldn't have been able to do. You know what I mean? Like it's different if Thor wasn't there, right? Thor for some
Yeah.
reason was because he's an incredibly powerful person that could have maybe changed the tide. Same with Captain Marvel. Same with of Scarlet Witches in this universe, whatever, right? The big,
Sure.
powerful beings. But we've got a dude that constantly throughout all the AIM guys, no, sorry, the Watchdogs were like, he's just a normal man. We can kill him. And it's like, you're telling us he's normal and then expecting Clint to be the guy that can save the end of the fucking world.
Yeah.
it's, you need to, it's almost like, for people who are fans of wrestling, right? It's like when James Ellsworth was wrestling AJ Styles and people being like, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, he'll win. He'll win. It's like he's not had a good track record so far. Like, he's
Yeah,
lower scale to the people like that.
there's a certain level of believability that you have to instill in your audience, right? So if the enemies are like, oh, he's a normal guy, and like even though you overcome that, like there has to be a scaling up of those overcomings, so you can start to believe that there's a reason behind, this character being as good as they are or as important as they are, because when you talk about it, it's like, yeah, like what makes Clint like the linchpin towards like the Avengers winning, you know what I mean? Like, and to be fair, unfortunately, this may be a plot line they pick up down the line, right? Whether it's Cosmic Cube, which we'll talk about, or some of the other things. But like right now, you look at this very short and contained story, and they leave you kind of questioning where things have happened, what things are going on, and not really giving you a lot, right? So I think you brought
Yeah,
up a good point there. It's like, what makes Hawkeye so special? Like what? Like you can even make an argument for Black Panther. I know you put Black Panther in the first group, but it's like the King of Wakanda, the most advanced civilization on Earth. Like there's a reason why if you don't have Black Panther with you in the Kree invade, maybe there's a reason. Like you need Black
yeah.
Panther there.
You
But
you
but
can kind
unfortunately,
of
mhm.
yeah, you can
Well,
kind of theorize why they would need Black Panther, whereas
right.
Clint, I can't imagine why they need him. You know?
Right. Exactly. So unless he's like the glue that holds everyone together, but the Avengers seemingly were doing okay now. You know what I mean? After coming back together, they're doing okay. Like it's not like they're all ready to rip each other's heads off. They're like narratively they're doing okay after the 5 years and whatever else. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just it's one of those things where it's like where's the story going? And unfortunately, I wanted more story. We just never got the story that I think we deserve. Like I even think of like
Yeah.
we could talk a little bit about like the missions and how many missions there are and all sorts of things going on. But narratively, it just felt like there needed to be more, and unfortunately, there wasn't. So it's like as good as it
It
was, and
was
don't get me wrong, the story that we got was good. I enjoyed it. I looked at it. I was like, yeah, this was okay. After playing it 3 times, but there's just so much more that I wanted out of it lengthwise. Maybe I was very naive, but I expected to spend like a good portion of my Thursday on one playthrough. Like I expected at least like what did it take story wise? Like maybe 2 hours. Like there, I thought it was gonna be more, and unfortunately, it just wasn't.
it felt like to me taking aim felt like a longer story because there were multiple different missions. So
Mm.
and it felt like we were learning a lot more from taking aim than we have done with this one. Like with taking aim, it kind of felt like, okay, we know what's going to happen next. We have the next cue, right? Clint collapsed. We sort of know what's going to happen there. Tachyon stuff, we get it. We get what the story is going to do going forward. With
Right.
with the Clint one, we only know by the roadmap what's
Yep.
happening next. With
Right.
obviously the cosmic cube. So, but even then, you happen to have a load more questions, and it makes you wonder, like sometimes, and this is no disrespect to the story writers, but it does kind of feel like this DLC probably had a lot more to it, but
Yep.
because it was in their backlog and it was just one of those things that were like, oh, for fuck, oh, come on, just get it out, fuck it.
Yeah.
Clint,
Yep.
Clint's ready, the story's at a fine place. Let's just let's hit these massive notes going forward, and we can fill in the plot holes later. And I'm obviously that's probably not their thought process, but as someone who's played it,
It does
um
feel like that.
it does feel like that. It feels very
Yeah.
much like there was another hour at most, maybe a Future Imperfect, that they were just like, look, we need to get this out. This hour just fills in some plot holes. We can just dump it and we'll leave it later down the road. Because I've spoken to some friends and they're like, I don't think Future Imperfect's over. I'm like, what do you mean? And obviously the Cosmic Cube thing, stuff like that, could all be in line with Future Imperfect. It's just it's not
Right.
very well communicated,
Yep.
right? So it's like
Yep.
part one.
Well, let me ask you then, because actually this your point right there actually came up a lot in my chat on Thursday. And a lot of people were saying, why don't they just release characters without story, or release the character and then release the story later? You know, like if the character's done, release the character first, right? Would you like
Yeah.
moving forward? Would that be something you like to see? Say, for example, Black Panther's finished a month before his expansion's ready. Would you rather see Black Panther be released the month before? And then give them some extra time, like, you know what I mean, like, so they're not tied into the first date to release everything. They can release the character and then release the story when it's ready. Is that something you would like to see moving forward, to avoid situations like this where maybe there's stuff that was meant to be but just wasn't because of the timelines?
It's kind of awkward because as someone who obviously can't wait to play as Black Panther, I'd say yes. But
Mm-hmm.
from like a logic standpoint, it feel really awkward. Like imagine doing this with Clint, right?
Mm-hmm.
As Clint, because he's like he's out like I don't know, say he's out a month before we actually eventually got him, but his story wasn't quite ready yet.
Right.
Imagine going into Clint's room as Clint and looking at Clint like, and it sucks the immersion out, the
Mm.
idea that I can play as Black Panther before we've gone to Wakanda and said hello to him, and it's stuff like and yeah, okay. The As a fan, I can't wait to play as these characters, but I think immersion wise, if they can hit me with the story and just release Panther with everything he's going to have, then
Right.
I'll be happy with it. Like we don't know what's going on in their heads. Maybe Future Imperfect for them is exactly how it was supposed to go down, and it
Mm.
was just one of them things. But I think that like for other heroes they could totally do that, like say for example on the they have a bit more free time, they've busted out all this content. 2021's roadmap is out, like the content from that roadmap,
Yep.
we're looking good. They're rotating some events and stuff, we're in a comfortable spot, so they can work on different little things, side projects. And
Yeah.
they think to themselves, you know what, PlayStation may have just gotten Spider-Man. A lot of his moves we could translate into like maybe Daredevil, right?
Mm.
So we'll take some of that because no one's going to complain about having Daredevil in the game, even if he's got similar movements, and he can be for every console, so that's good. He can,
Mm-hmm.
flips and stuff just without the webbing, obviously, and then boom, Daredevil's out. Maybe we'll have a little event for him. Maybe Eastern Seaboard, you can do a little mission chain. Boom, there you go. That's something a little fun,
Yep.
that's what I was kind of saying before, that the Avengers Initiative and the operations, they should take two different forms. The Avengers Initiative should be for the fun events like we're going to see, like Tachyon Anomalies, the Red Room, stuff that doesn't always need to tie into your massive narrative, just little fun things. And it's the
Right.
same with even characters. You don't need to always fit these characters into a story. Like if say for example Daredevil, you're never going to have him in this operation thing. Like he's
No.
not fit into that story, right? So
Yep.
just put him, so you can still use him, just put him in as a little fun treat for people that whenever
Are
there's
fans of him.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
a little bit of fan service and stuff like
Yep.
comic events, because they're doing, obviously we know that Red Room Takeover uh is kind of tied-ish to the Black Widow movie. It's a homage to it rather than it is like an event
Yeah,
for
it's
it.
like a very loose kind of like, hey, MCU fans, you want to come try out the game? You know what I mean? Like it's yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
So like you could do that for comic events. Like, I really wanted one for King in Black, and then we have some like cool
Mm,
symbiote related stuff, because again that kind of whets the appetite of people that even though they can't have Spider-Man, at least they can have symbiotes which heavily tie into Spider-Man and stuff like that. A nice cool
right.
little mini event that doesn't fit into the canon. It's just nice and easy. But I
Hmm.
think that you kind of ruin that when you're too focused on just this narrative alone. But they've, from this roadmap that we have seen, they've learned to twist their own narrative a little bit to dump these fun things in there. Like that Red Room Takeover event comes out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Like from what we've heard, that's so random, but it's good. It's a good thing. Like more of that, please.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the roadmap in a bit here. I don't want to jump too far ahead because obviously I still want to talk to you a little bit about Future Imperfect here. And
Oh
obviously
yeah, I got
Hawkeye.
excited.
Yeah, you jumped the gun a little bit, but that's okay. Because I want to talk to you a little bit about Hawkeye. Maybe some of their choices with regards to missions, the villain sectors, and stuff like that. There's still much
Okay.
more we could talk about, but for me, when I was playing, I actually played Hawkeye quite a bit more than most people probably that first day. Actually, I probably played the early part of Hawkeye more than most people that day, actually. And what I was finding with Hawkeye was that he was actually a lot more fun than I suspected him to be. Obviously, you watch the deep dive and you watch the showcase and everything like that. But when I was playing Hawkeye, I was very surprised at how much fun I was having. Like obviously, I looked at him and I was like, oh, he's cool, but he's probably not for me. And then I go and I play him Thursday, and I'm like, oh, Hawkeye's a lot of fun. Like he is a lot of fun, and to me, it was just one of those things where it's like, I I wanted to see more from him in the story because I think there's so much cool shit that Hawkeye could do. Granted, not world saving cool shit. And because like they've done such a great job building this character out that I feel like narratively he was kind of let down a little bit, like it feels like, the combat team and all that stuff put in such a great time and effort into making this character super good, and it's like, give me story to play with this character, give me things that I can do with this character. Obviously I don't want to just run into the Avengers initiative right away. I want to see what's going on. Give me some more meat to chew on. But give me your thoughts on Hawkeye himself as a character, or if you have anything you want to follow up on that on, because I really want to hear what you thought of Hawkeye. You spent yesterday grinding him a little bit, right? So what did you think?
I think that I was quite surprised combat wise about how weak his arrows felt
Okay.
compared to Kate, but I was also quite surprised about how good his melee was compared
Yes.
to Kate, which
Right.
is odd because it's the total opposite. Whereas with Kate, and I mean this in no disrespect because everyone's got to have something melee wise, right? Or else they'll be very one dimensional. But with
Mm-hmm.
Kate, it feels a lot like her sword is there if you're in a tight bind, right? If you just like, oh, you like scatter shots normally the way to go with Kate. You sort of
Mm-hmm.
that's the meta for Kate. Her arrows especially they
Right.
do a lot of damage. So you wouldn't ever see like someone doing a real melee build because it's kind of like why when you have such a great option with the arrows. Whereas Clint, I found that, obviously I'm not quite finished yet. I might be totally, wrong, but just by leveling up Clint, I've realized that his arrows are good for setups, but his melee is the thing that really steals the show, which makes
Hmm.
sense because of his Ronin days and him being
It's
the
interesting.
trainer.
Yeah.
But like for example, my build that I want to do is use the cluster arrows, the tripwire arrows, to fire off, stun the enemies, run in like crazy, and just slash them up with the sword. Like, and it's and that's kind of what I've been really aiming towards. And now that I know that the split shot arrow, which is like his power attack variant, is locked with might, it's a no brainer.
Yes.
Like, it's a
Yeah.
no brainer.
Yeah, you could
Uh,
just stack might, and then there you go. Like you're off to the races then with that one, and as well as your melee.
Exactly. Like, and all I need to do is finish that challenge card, get Ronin, and Chef's Kiss.
There you
We're
go.
done.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
like, so what do you? So if you had to create a tier list right now, obviously I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. Um.
oh no.
Oh yes. So if you had to make a
Oh,
tier list right now, where would you rank Hawkeye? Do you think he's one of the better characters or one of the worst characters? Now
I,
obviously don't hold yourself to this, right? Like this could,
yeah.
obviously I'm not gonna like expect like the most deep level answer out of you. Maybe I am actually, but don't be afraid. Dude. Don't be afraid. Make a leap.
Okay, so I think that with Clint, just leveling him up before I've got a build on him,
Mm-hmm.
he's just really fun. Like, he's just really
Oh,
entertaining. He feels really
okay.
impactful.
Okay.
Like, everything he does, minus his arrows, but I said they feel more setup than they are actually damage inducing. So, and I like it. It feels kind of like a Black Widow-esque, where you get in, you get out. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? You get in, you
Yeah.
slash up, you do what you can, and then, oh, there's a big exo in the way. Right, I'm out. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to fire a Night Storm arrow, do some damage from afar, and then get back in. I think that's kind of I love that play style, and I love to be forced to actually do more than just spam heavy attack with Thor, for example, right? Or Brooklyn Brawler with Cap,
Right.
because they're obvious metas. Whereas Clint, yeah, okay, at the moment we've seen it is split shot arrows are clearly the meta for him at the moment, but there's a lot to do before you are able to freely do that because you can get
Right.
interrupted. And I like the challenge, so I think Clint's one of the better characters. I'd put him like probably like maybe. And the thing is, it's difficult to say it because I'm in the honeymoon period, right? Because we got a new character
Right.
out. I
Yep.
said this with Kate. I was like, I really enjoy Kate, but now I see the problems with Kate because Clint's here.
Right.
So
Well, I
I
mean,
would say,
Kate was fun until they, took away that teleporting blink, crazy shenanigan movements, and then Kate became bad. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, go.
no, and the thing is with Kate is, when you look to her compared to Clint, which again it makes sense from a narrative perspective. Clint is the coach,
Right.
he's gonna have more going on for him. But a lot of Kate feels like she relies heavily on her arrows, and the teleporting is just there for traversal and
Mm.
just getting out the way and stuff. Whereas like Clint, he has so many different things to him, so many different ways you can approach a situation that it's just nice and different, like
Right.
the support elements that he can have, the melee elements he can have. If you really want to go ranged, there are options. It's
Yep.
not completely like dead in the water, but for me, it's just not my thing.
Hmm.
But it's really interesting to know that Clint was supposed to be a clone of Kate, even though Clint is now better than Kate.
Right. Well, it seems like they were like, "Oh shit," like we can't do this, and it was like, "Oh, all hands on deck on Clint." Like, give him some of the craziest shit we can think of. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like it seemed like they were very spooked by the idea of like them being clones, and then like it was like all hands on deck in like the creative department of like how to make Clint like really good. You know what I mean? To like overcome that kind of like accusation of like them being clones, right? So it seems like they really went into overdrive to make sure like if someone was like, "Oh yeah, they're clones," they could be like, "Well, actually," and then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, and in a way, it definitely worked, right? Because like, yeah, like they have a sword and they have a bow, but Clint does some cool shit. Kate still does some cool shit, but like they're totally different characters, and so I mean, I would agree with you that like when I look at Clint and I play Clint, I'm like, yeah, this character is very cool, and like it makes me hopeful for like what else they can do with like characters that are a little more complex than a bow and a sword. You know what I mean? Because like you look at those
Yeah.
characters, and it's like stuff like that's been done to death in video games, right? Like bow and arrow characters with swords, like you go back as far as you want. Like those characters have always been in video games, right? But like you look at some of the upcoming characters. Well, I mean, I say that, but you look at the upcoming character and you look at Black Panther, and it's like they could really do some crazy shit with Black Panther, and make that character like really fucking good. Which is like the most exciting thing for me because they make a bow and arrow character, make two of them pretty good. Well, let's see what they do with a character that is pretty unique. And if I'm correct on
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
one, has only been in some video games, and you could argue whether they're AAA or not, right? This is still a AAA game with like the resources behind it to make a character really good. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, like I look at Clint and fun. I'm still gonna play him. I'm not gonna play him today, but I'll play him tomorrow, and I'll have some fun with him. But it's the idea of what they've done with Clint and what they can do moving forward that maybe it's like a little bit of like Clint, you're like the fun toy now, but obviously I look at how the toy makers made you, and I'm excited for what's next. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Well, I
it,
mean, I've
mm.
because of my like loss of save data and stuff.
Well,
Not
yeah,
CD's fault,
we could
by the
talk
way.
about that too. Yeah, sure. But anyways, continue.
But because I'm having to level up Kate and Clint at the same
Mm.
time, I'm able to really compare how the leveling up process feels on both of them, and
Okay.
already like it literally felt like level 40 Clint already just feels like a more complete character than level 40 Kate did. There's still like a bit
Gotcha.
with Kate that I need to sort out and get back
Right.
to how things are. Whereas Clint still feels impactful. Like his takedowns still do like great damage, for example, whereas Kay's just feel a bit more weaker. But
Mm,
then Kate is more like butterfly-esque, elegant, whereas Clint's like getting in
sure.
there and just like, getting his hands dirty quick,
Mm.
impactful stuff. So I mean, that's the difference, and it's probably just preference, really.
It could come down to it. I mean, one of the hardest things to do in a game like this is that like everyone is going to play differently. Everyone's going to have a little bit of different gear, for different scenarios. It's really hard to measure, you know, um like a tier list, right? Which is why when I put you on the spot like that, it's like, yeah, like I get it. Like cuz unless you're measuring like one-shot builds for example, or even like time to kill, but I don't think anyone's really holding their time to kill. Like no one's really counting down their time to kill, right? So unless
Yeah.
you're like a character who has a one-shot build, I mean like everyone else comes behind anyways, right? So it's like, when I look at it, it's like, yeah, Clint's fun. I have fun playing him, Me personally, Kate was fun up until a point. I'm looking at you, Crystal Dynamics. You know what I'm talking about. And then after that, like Kate didn't become fun anymore. So as long as Clint remains fun and I still have fun playing Clint, I think he's probably one of the better characters for me personally. I mean, I
Mm.
still play Cap a lot. Most people probably would say they hate Cap because like Cap's a very like very basic character. You get your ultimate and then you go to work. You know what I mean? You gotta like take
Yeah,
down this, take down
it's
that, right? Like it's like the gameplay is very boring. Like I'll say it, like the gameplay is super boring on Cab, which is where I think we talked about this a few weeks ago that like a little bit of power creep usually comes in with these characters, right? Whether it's them just learning things or being confident to try new things, eventually power creep does kind of creep in, and maybe like Kate with the teleportation and some of the movement. Now Clint with all the arrows and some different mechanics that play with some of them. Maybe there's just a little bit of power creep that's creeping in. And but I mean, if you're looking at that and saying like, "Oh, I'm excited for Black Panther now," that's great. If you're like me and you're looking at Captain America, you're just like, "Oh God, like I'm being outclassed again." You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
don't bite the hand that feeds you, I guess, kind of situation, right?
Well, the thing is with like characters like Cap is they feel incredibly squishy. Like I can't go into like an area of adaptoids and feel as comfortable as I could with any other character, even
Sure.
Kamala.
Yeah.
The thing is with Cap is yeah, it's ultimate go to work, and then I feel comfortable. But say for
Yeah.
some reason I had a challenge to never use my ultimate, right? I would be
Yeah.
terrified of that
Yeah.
scenario. Cap would get bullied. He's just
Yep.
comboed and he wouldn't be able to move. And it's like, I mean, obviously, they've given us the tools to be, a top tier Cap, but, it's supposed to be the case of you make your own hero.
Yeah.
People, I don't believe, should be punished for that, you know?
Right, right. Well, on the topic of making your own hero, you did mention you're leveling up two characters right now. So, why don't you tell everybody, and I'll tell my own story too, of what happened to your save data on Thursday. And I would love to kind of, talk about this a little bit because this kind of annoyed me a lot. And anyone who watched my stream Thursday knows exactly how annoyed I was. But yeah, I mean, why don't you start with this one?
All right. So basically, what had happened is that I didn't know you had to do the save migration stuff. Right. So I didn't know you had to go
Mm.
on the PS4 to go to your PS5.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I thought, all right, I'll do it myself. So I went on my files and I didn't know what to look for. So I was
Yep.
like, okay, so I'll get the cloud save and I'll dump it on the PS5. Done,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know how this happened. It gave me the wrong one. It basically
Mm.
it put like the because I went on the PS5 version. Obviously, there's no save there, so I was like, right, okay, what's going on? So I must have switched the PS5 save to the PS4 save and replaced my save that I had at that time,
Okay.
and then thought, right, okay, I need to. And then I didn't know what I was doing, so I got the most like the one that had the most to it, I guess, and then it turned out to be one from December 2020. So I was panicking. I was swapping all sorts of save data. I was like, no, what's happened? It's all gone. And
Yeah.
it got to a point where like I just gave up because I was basically doing the same thing, and it happened during the charity stream. So I was like,
Oh God.
no, like I was
Yeah.
gutted, and but then I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought like, look. It's about maybe April we might see something with the anomalies or whatever.
Yep.
I have enough time, right, to maybe try and get
Oh
back to how I
yeah.
was. But then,
Lots of
but then, but
time.
But then I thought about it a bit, and I was like, oh shit! Now I have to level up 2 characters like again, and now I have to, and now all the chastity skins that I had with the units are gone. Well, so most of them anyway. Like all the Kate ones are gone. Like not the marketplace ones because
The
that's server side.
in game vendor. Yeah.
Yeah, in-game vendor, and I was like, oh, and they've just done the rework for it as well, so I can't just go in and spam everything. Oh no! And
Yeah.
then you remember like, and then you look at your gear and you think, what was I thinking back then? Like, and then
Yeah.
you have to go and you have to do these like Last Avenger standing spams to maybe get something that was okay at first, like.
Yeah.
And it's just it's gutting. Like when I because I had to earlier, I thought to myself, I might as well start the grind now. And I ran into Last Avenger standing with Kamala, and I was like, why did I ever do this? Like she's terrible. Like, and it's and it's that sort of progression of learning how the gear works even more so 2 months down the road.
Yeah.
And obviously, I want to play with the shiny new toy, but I kind of feel bad for all my old toys being put in the bin like that. So it's difficult for me to relax and play, as well as because Kate is also low level again, so I have to get her back up. And it's like, and I want to be back to how I was before new content comes out, and I don't
Right.
have a lot of time to play it when college restarts. So I mean, it's genuinely, and you can call me sad if you want. It's genuinely something that I'm trying to schedule and panic over. Like,
Sad. That's sad,
sad,
dude. You're
sad,
sad.
loser.
I mean, you said it, not me, man. You totally threw that other part. I mean, yeah, it does suck because like I didn't even know about the PS4 thing either. So here's what happened to me, guys. If you were in the stream, you already know what happened, and you guys are well aware because you guys were memeing me for it. So basically, what happened was same thing with you. I didn't know you had to go into the PS4 version. So basically, the PS5 version downloaded. I was like sick. I jumped into it. I didn't even realize none of my characters were wearing costumes. Just jumped into it. And I was playing, and then I was like, wait a second. Because it got to a point where like your team comes in, and I was like, wait a second. Not my costume, not my costume, not my costume. I was like, wait. So I finished the mission, then I went out and I looked, and I was like, shit. Like, this doesn't work. So I had to restart and then do the save migration, and I had to come in then, and I get through it, and then my game crash. It was like a game crashed. And then I can't log in. I'm getting error codes.
Oh no!
And then my chat's like, June had this earlier. Call to June. So I call to June, and I'm like, buddy, what the fuck is going on? You know, like what is happening? And he's like, hey man, listen, like you got to do these things, and it's gonna fucking suck because it's gonna reset you, but you got to do it. There's no other way. I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, I think like if you go back to the VOD, you can't hear him because I call him on my one computer, but you could hear me, and I'm pretty sure I said, "Are you fucking serious? Like, I'm gonna fucking have a breakdown over this. Like, what the fuck's going on?" And he's like, "Yeah, like apparently there's nothing they can do. All they can do is patch it out. They can't fix any of your saves." I was like, "That's some bullshit. Like that's some fucking bullshit." Anyways, I did it anyways. Fuck it, whatever. And it might be the only person who played Future Imperfect 3 times on Thursday. On one console. Granted, I'm sure some of you guys out there probably played it on multiple consoles or multiple systems, whatever. I played it 3 times on the PS5, and you know what? I am worse off for that. I'm not better off for that. I'm worse off for that because my God, after the 3rd time, I just wanted it to go away. I really did. I was just. I've never felt that way.
I bet you're glad it was short then, right?
Oh, dude, honestly, at the first 2, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. The 3rd one was like, holy fuck, thank God it's like 5 missions. You know what I mean? I was like, because like at the end of it, I was done with it. I was like, I'm so tired of this story, you know? And like, I think I was only tired of it because like I was so annoyed at the glitch, like the crash thing. Like it was just how ridiculous. And like maybe this is gonna be a little harsh, maybe it's not. How ridiculous that happens, you know what I mean? Once again, it's a big launch day and we're dealing with save issues, you know what I mean? Like I get it, you're not going to get every bug, I understand, but there are some bugs that should be like you should get, like no questions asked. And like if a bug with like a character animation is in there, fuck it, whatever, I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a bug that's in your game that's impacting progress, and it could just randomly happen like that, that's fuck that, you know what, like that should be something they should have caught. And the worst part is like they were able to patch it so quick, you know? Like it was so quick of a patch. And maybe that's because they were able to identify it easier when it was happening to people. Granted, that could be the case. But like how many people did that happen to? You know? Like how many people did that like ruin that day for? You know? Like
Well,
that,
I
yes.
mean, here's the thing, because like I something pops up on Twitter just now on my phone that
Yeah.
I saw, so like I was like, okay, I can multitask. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
no,
You're a smart guy. I get it.
but basically, yeah, all right. I can also rub my head and pat my belly at the same time.
Oh, can you?
Um, yeah,
Oh, I can't.
yeah.
Okay, anyway, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please continue. You're a smart
Uh,
guy. Something popped up on Twitter. Please.
all right, to flex. Obviously, a problem that people were having was that the Future Wastelands mission chain was uncompletable because couldn't get the Maestro villain sectors going on. Just now,
Right.
big breaking exclusive. Lejeune himself, Muster, number of things, has said that if you go offline, the two villain sectors will pop up. So
Oh
anyone who's struggling with that
my
one, go
god.
offline and do it.
Are
So that's
you
all you need to do. Just go offline.
serious?
Yep, I'm looking
Wow.
at them. Symphony, Inagamaki, and Days of Anger.
Wow.
So, you know what I'll be doing once this podcast
Yeah,
is
exactly.
over?
You know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm firing that bad boy up to get that artifact. Like that's crazy. Like and once again it's a symptom of something greater, right? Like how many times did when the game launched it was like, if you couldn't get a reset, remember what vendor was it that wasn't resetting? Was it Chastity? Wasn't resetting and people were like, yeah, you just got to go offline, she resets, like. And it's just
Yeah, I
once
think
again,
so.
like I can't believe it took this long to figure that out, right? Thursday to Sunday. But I mean, yeah, once again, there you go, guys. Like it's oh god. I mean, I can't believe that happened. You know what I mean? Like,
It's an annoying thing anyway. Like, I
mm-hmm.
get the kind of like, oh yeah, the Maestro ones are on, I can finally do it, but it's like you're
Yeah.
stopping people from finishing content. That's not a
There's
smart
an
idea.
there's an argument to be made, and I've seen this argument made, is that it's kind of increasing player engagement. And we can talk about like their matchmaking changes overall because they're starting to do this more a little bit now, where they're kind of limiting what you can matchmake into as often as you want. Like now elite villain sectors one and done for the day. You know what I mean? Like, so it. And I think this is a symptom of a greater problem with the game, right? When the game launched and you had all these missions on the war table, right? However many missions, right? Let's just ballpark and say at any given time between September and like Wednesday night, how many missions do you think? 40, 30 something missions probably. Um,
Yeah,
and like the problem is that like the player pool, we could call a spade a spade. The player pool at any point in time on any console can't support 30 individual missions to players to match into. It just can't. Like, let's be honest about it, right? So what they've done is that they've now kind of restricted which missions to matchmake into at these times or during like however many times a day, when like this the what's the word I'm looking for? What they should be doing is literally just doing playlists, right? Like they should be like a villain sector
yeah,
playlist, should be an elite villain sector playlist, or combine the two of them. It should be like a drop zone playlist, like all these things, or an iconic mission playlist. You know what I mean? Like all these things should just be playlists, right? And then like you could run the same playlist over and over again, and maybe you get that mission that you need. But and I talked about this early, like, oh god, when did I talk with Joe? Joe from Murphy's Multiverse, I talked with him in November, I think it was, and I had said then that there was going to be a real issue coming up when it came to the UI and the war table. Lo and behold, how many months later, we're running into an issue that there's too much shit on the war table. Players are like, they're not matching into what some other players are doing, so they're not getting the groups that they need. So what they're doing, instead of making the playlists or making the war table easier to match into certain groups of categories, they're just restricting content at that point. There's ways to
yeah,
do these things, but they're choosing to kind of go the restriction route instead of the reorganizing route. And
yeah.
what you're doing is you're just pissing off players.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, when I heard what the artifact was, that you could basically summon Hank Pym, I
Yeah.
was like, dude, I need that. Like, that sounds
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, it does.
That's such a cool thing. So I was like, okay, right, I've done Future Imperfect. Maybe, karma will be on my side, just ran a charity
Mhm.
event, raised a lot of money. Maybe my karma won't just be lost
Right,
saves and being
right.
bullied in chat. So I go and look at the villain sectors and I get Taskmaster and Warbot, and I'm like, hang on.
Yeah.
There's my maestro. Like, what's going
Right.
on? And
Right.
and it's just one of those things where like it's kind of disheartening, and the momentum just crashes for you because you think to yourself, I want to play more of your game, but
Yeah.
you put a wall up. I can't finish this thing that you need me to finish,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, okay, RNG, yeah, but I have to wait a day. Maybe I'm not free the next day. You know what I mean? Maybe this is the only time I can spam your game.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes a point where it's like and you see them back off of this a little bit, right? We heard from some of the creators that were part of the event that Cloning Labs is now going to be all week. So they do understand that restricting content is bad, but the philosophy doesn't go towards everything, right? Like that philosophy needs to go towards everything, and what they need to be doing is restricting what you can queue into with playlists instead of individual missions, right? There's ways to do these things that allow you to kind of like maybe have a little RNG. Say you queue for the villain sector playlist. Yeah, I mean there's RNG towards which one you get, but eventually you will get that one that you need, right? So maybe you get the Warbot and then Taskmaster, but then maybe you get Days of Anger, right? And then maybe you get Abomination and then Taskmaster, but then maybe you get Symphony and a Gamma Key, right? So like even though there is still a little bit of RNG and maybe you're still a little bit annoyed that you can't queue into that one, at least you're taking away the problem, which was too many things and not enough people queuing into certain missions, and you're kind of pissing off players in a little way, but at least still there's still in there. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like now they're going totally the opposite way. And I've seen a lot of people upset about this, right? Where it's like someone just wants to come on and queue for a villain sector or queue for the one they need. Well, good luck. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah, and
it's two steps
it
forward, one step forward, two step back. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's another thing where it's like they try to make something good, but is the intended result what they intended when they drew this up on the whiteboard? Maybe not, you know?
I wonder if the XP boost that they added ages ago is still a thing.
Oh, it's a quick match?
Because yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah, Phil said on the dev stream that players actually don't quick match a lot. Even someone can quote Phil on this for me, but he said players don't use quick match even with the XP boosters. So he was theorizing that players just don't actually know about it.
I mean, that's
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I
I
don't.
don't know
I
about
think
that
the
one.
problem. I think the problem is that there's only certain things that players want to come on and farm. Right? They want to come on and farm villain sectors if they need to. They want to come on and farm elite villain sectors. Maybe Last Avenger Standing, Mega Hive, and
Yeah,
Tachyon Rifts. Right? Or vaults. Say you need to gear up a character as vaults. Other than that, what else are you really coming to go play a threat sector or a drop zone or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? Like unless you're like a content creator and you're looking to play with people, you're coming on to do like 6 different categories of missions and that's it. You know?
yeah, for sure. Like again, the whole thing of we want to give you sort of a different grind for gear and stuff. As Clint, I'm still running vaults. I'm still
Oh
doing the
yeah.
same thing. Like
Oh yeah.
it's not really like we're not spinning the wheel too much. Like yeah,
No.
okay, it feels different, but like I've seen that little loot goblin synthoid twice.
I've seen it 0 times. 0.
What about during the Future Imperfect mission where
0.
like you
0.
didn't see it then
It,
either?
if it showed up, I missed it. I didn't, but I would have gone after it if I saw it. So maybe it did and I didn't see it. But as far as I know, we're at a big fat 0, my friend.
There's a little tutorial bit that he pops
I
up and you kill it and then it tells you
no
what it is at the bottom.
no, I must have missed that somewhere. I
You
mean,
play,
I'd have to go
how many times did you play it? What?
3 times, and which is why I think I would
It's
know, dude. No, I swear to God. Like if
no,
someone
no,
that
no, no,
watched,
no. Wait.
I know there's
No,
some people who will watch this that was in my stream the whole day, and I know if I missed that stupid little bot, they would have yelled at me for it. They would have memed me. I swear to God, I did not see that bot.
are
I
you sure they
swear
weren't
on you.
just being nice?
No, no, my chat memes on me, dude. You know how many people laugh at me because I played Future Imperfect 3 times? They meme on me, dude. They would have told me if that little fucking bot showed up. I swear to God, I never saw it once. So
That's weird. That's like because I was watching the Marvel stream beforehand where
Yeah, but
that
that's
dude
all.
Josh played it,
Yeah, that's
and that
all.
happened for
Yeah.
him. It happened for me. It happened when Sonic played it on in his slot. I was like, okay, so that's clearly fixed to be there as a little tutorial,
No,
right?
that's
And
not
then you're like
fixed.
playing it 3 times, you don't fucking get it
No,
once.
dude. I honestly have no idea. Like, I don't know what you're talking about when you talk about tutorial.
I had it when he was running it during one of Kate's missions when like I was playing it for the not the first time, but the game thought I was playing it for the first time, and he was just running about. I was like, oh,
No,
he can show up in these missions too, and I was really excited. But then Hulk knocked him off a cliff, so
no, I didn't get anything, man. Which is, I mean, from what I heard, it's not really like a big waste, anyways, right? Like I've heard they're not really the greatest thing to get. Like they don't drop like the most amazing things, anyways,
I
right?
don't
So
I don't know if like when you play on like say you're playing on Challenge 4, right, and your heroes
yeah,
like late grind. I don't know if
sure.
maybe they're really good then, like maybe they drop some
I
cool
I
shit.
theorized that. I said like that would make sense to me, but
But then that's a real lot of RNG for potentially
right,
nothing. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So like
yeah.
it'd just be one of those things that like I wouldn't look out for, but maybe when my Clint's leveled up and I'm doing like a villain sector or something and I see him, I think, oh, see what I get
Yeah, I mean
and
that's the thing.
hope for
Well,
the
it's
best.
not supposed to be like the main thing you grind for, right? It's a little side gift, I guess. But even little side gifts have to be worth it, right? Because even if it's like, you're taking time off for, like your main mission or what you're grinding for to come kill a little bot. Like you'd hope that there's something in there that's like worth it, you know?
Well, it's clearly rare, right? Because you haven't seen it once. I've seen it like twice, and it's all I've been playing like for the last couple of days just to level up people
I don't think
again.
it exists.
And
I think you're lying to me, to be honest with you.
what do you mean? Just look at
Yeah.
the uh, like Google it or something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
It's
You know what
just
Google says too? He says the Earth's flat, and all sorts of things. So
you know what, right? Listen,
yeah. What's up?
people in the comments, right? Let
Mm-hmm.
High Ruler know if you've bumped into one or not, because I think this
Please.
dude's lying.
Yeah,
My life
okay,
as a
dude.
weapon mission in Future Imperfect, a little bot shows up when you're walking through the streets. You kill it, it tells you what one is. You get the codex file, you move on, right? The High Ruler's missed it 3 times. I think this dude needs to go to like Specsavers or get glasses or whatever.
I
I don't
have
know.
glasses, but the problem is the glasses are for distance. If I have to look somewhere
Well, clearly
far,
you were too
I
far
gotta.
away from the dude.
Oh my god, bro, relax, relax. You're here fucking bullying me, dude. That's crazy.
That's not bullying. I'm trying to help you get some good loot.
Yeah, okay. If I was hearing, you guys were getting good loot out of that, I'd be a little more upset. But I'm hearing you guys aren't getting anything out of that one, so I think I'm okay missing out on that. Let me tell you, I think I'll be all
Uh,
right.
I kept trying to ask Andy when he popped into the
Mm.
Assemble for Charity stream. I was like, do these drop exotics? Like, is there like a 0.5% chance they'll drop exotics? And sadly, I didn't get an answer. But that's something that like to
You'd
ask
like an answer
people.
to? Yeah. I mean
Uh,
that's a good question to ask because like even if it's like yes, but it's a very small chance. Like there's
all of a
like
sudden, they're
incentive.
important again.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. There's incentive behind that, right? So like I don't know if Andy didn't have the number or if he wasn't allowed to tell, but like if there is like a small percent chance to get an exotic out of it, that's an exotic that can show up in any mission. Like you're not maybe now you're not restricted to the missions that you get exotics. Now you can just kind of farm whatever, right? And then oh maybe get exotic to that mission. That'd be a really interesting way to kind of open up the exotic grinding a little bit, but problem is like you're two layers of RNG, right? First layer is it showing up in the first place, and then second layer is what the drop RNG anyways. So
Maybe
um
they show up more often depending on your challenge level. Because I haven't been able to play on Challenge
mm,
4 yet because of obviously Clint being low level and stuff. So I've not had the
right.
chance to really see if there's like a difference there. But I'm sure
Mm.
someone like the June could probably say something if he bumped into him enough.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That'd be interesting to test out. So definitely have to wait and see what kind of developments happen on that front. I think we're just about done with the future imperfect part of the conversation here. Is there anything you wanted to kind of cap off this conversation with, or do you think we covered everything with regards to the future imperfect?
I think we're all right. I just think that
Okay.
chat needs to, like, comments need to let us know that they definitely bumped into a little bot and that
Yeah. I'm
you've got a
blind.
bugged game or something.
Yeah, could be. Well, considering my luck on Thursday, it wouldn't surprise me if my game is bugged somewhere.
I've been having this super annoying bug, right, where like
Mm.
I'll go into the menu just to like equip like the highest gear, and then I'll leave the menu, and Clint will just look blindly into the distance with the UI off for like
Oh.
10 seconds, and then eventually
Yeah,
it will
yeah, yeah,
go back
yeah.
to gameplay.
Yeah, that's that.
So
So,
annoying.
so that's actually something that was brought up to me today. That's apparently just like a PS5 thing. I wonder if the engine can't keep up with the load times of the PS5. You know what I mean? Like, because like
Maybe.
there's certain instances where like the loading time is very snappy, but then those instances is like the game is catching up to like the loading. Like it just feels like it loads too fast for the engine. Because yeah, definitely you're not the only one. Because I've experienced that. I know some people in my Discord have experienced that. That's definitely a probably pretty widespread because it seems like it's almost like a one for one on PS5s. If you're playing on PS5, you experience that. No, I haven't talked to anyone who's played on Xbox. Um, well, actually, I could say that because I've been playing on the Series S, and I've not actually experienced anything like that. Only on my PS5, but I don't know if the Series X has run into any issues like that. But on my Xbox, anyways, I haven't. So, be interesting to see how that kind of develops. Because yeah, that's a very annoying thing because like it's like quick load times, snappy load times. It's like, oh, here's like your random hang that makes you think the game's frozen for about 7 seconds, and it's just like, yeah,
Yeah, like I was streaming it the other night, and
mm-hmm.
I was like, guys, it's not the stream that's broken. I
Yeah.
just have to every time I fancy putting a new skill on, I have to commit 20 extra seconds to it so that Clint can sort of look into the distance and contemplate his life for a bit. Like it's so annoying.
Yeah, no, I get you. That's something I think they're gonna have to, I guess, like look into. I don't know. I mean, I don't think they brought it up on the dev stream. I was just looking for my notes there. No, that's not something they brought up actually. So I would hope they're aware of it, but it's not something they had actually talked about. So we'll have to wait and see
Yeah.
what kind of stuff they do. I mean, I don't know if I would think that's something that's deserving of a a hot fix, you know, like a quick patch. But that's only if I guess they figure it out because like
How do you patch that though? Do you know, like the engine not being able to, like, how does that
well,
work?
I
Like, how
mean
would
that I
you?
mean no, I'm only theorizing, but I mean I would love to talk to someone who works in game development because like you know obviously there's a lack of knowledge there on our part, but I mean I would love to sit down with someone and just be like like theorize that for me and theorize the fix for it because like um you know maybe it's simple but maybe it's not right like and as we know and this isn't a you know maybe this you know you take this for what it is but we know Crystal Dynamics are very okay with letting bugs through. Well, I say very okay, but we do real know that like bugs don't stop content from going out. You know, some
Yeah.
content from going out, right? So maybe this is something they know and they know they can fix it, but like due to timelines, you know, similar to your theory with the cosmic cube and everything, maybe that ties into Future Imperfect. Maybe they were just like, okay, this is going to be annoying, but it's not game breaking. So maybe you know we just tackle it in the next patch. We just throw it in the next patch. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, it you know it definitely is one of those things where it is annoying though, and it would like I would like it to be fixed because you know sitting there wondering if my PS5 is going to crash, you know, it's not fun, and that's what it feels like. I'm like, oh god, here goes my PS5, like you know, like it's crashing, and then all of a sudden the game kicks in. I'm like, oh, you got me. I
Yeah,
guess I
because
was
it does.
bamboozled,
Because the
right?
music starts stuttering, and
Yep,
it'll go like dan dan
yep,
dan. I'm like, oh no,
yep.
and then yeah, it'll pump back in, which I'm glad that other people. I know it's gonna sound really weird, but I'm glad that other people are having that problem because at least it's not my PS5 dying.
Well, and that's it because like I've had issues with my PS5 ever since I got it. You know, like once every 2 weeks, a game will crash on me. But now that I know that like you know there's issues with Avengers itself, it's like oh, so I know a PS5 maybe isn't the greatest or whatever, but I know it's not at least like it's not rushing to its death anytime soon, right? So it is what it is, I guess. Like hopefully they fix it, and you know. Hopefully it's something that is a very simple fix and not something that requires, you know, months of work just to figure it out because like brutal. I mean, it does ruin the enjoyment a little bit when you got to wait and just kind of sit there and look at that. But I mean, I would much rather just look at a loading screen at that point. You know what I mean? If like if they're like, yeah, guys, we can't figure this out, so we got to institute a loading screen. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like, Give me the loading screen then, because at least then I know like my PS5 isn't gonna have a heart attack on itself
Yeah,
and
for
keel
sure.
over. So um, okay. Next, let's talk about Square Enix Presents.
I did
Um,
it.
yeah,
You
they
said
did
it
it.
right.
Yeah. Well, oh, they did it or I did it.
You said it right. I'm so
Oh,
proud.
thank you, thank you, thank you. I thought you were gonna congratulate me on making the call. I made the call. Remember? Do you remember? I made the call.
No,
Do you remember this?
no.
Okay. Well, let me remind you. Last week, last week, guys, I had said a roadmap was coming. I put everything on the
Oh
line.
yeah, wow, what a
I said
prediction. No one else said that, right? No, that was
uh, who publicly said that? Who publicly? Public.
What do you mean? It was pretty everyone was saying
No,
that,
I don't
man.
care.
Everyone was like, it's
You know how many
roadmap,
people?
confirmed roadmap.
You know how many people questioned me on that? You know, people were like, "Hey, are you sure? Are you sure?" You know how many people were like, "Are you sure about this?" And I was like, 100%. So I made the call. I said the roadmap was coming, and you're like, "Remember Infamous Iron Man? Remember he called Infamous Iron Man?" It's fine. I'm not here to look for the credit,
What
but
was that?
that was you, dude. That was your voice.
Oh, I see how it is. All right.
But they did obviously announce the roadmap, and to a lot of people, it was very much so like a breath of fresh air, and to some people, it was like a weight coming down on their chest. Like if you're in the group looking for more content, you look at that roadmap, and you got exactly what you wanted out of it, right? Now you can
Yeah.
argue if the content's going to be substantial or not. That's a fair argument, right? That's remains to be seen. But it is content. But on the other side of that, if you were someone looking for characters, right? You had seen the leaks, you heard all this talk. You and I have done talks on the leaks before. If you're looking for characters, you're walking away from Thursday going, "Oh no." And I had a lot of these conversations on Thursday actually, where a lot of people were looking for the content, and they look at that and like, this is really good. I have stuff to do. But on the flip side, I had a lot of conversations with people saying, 6 characters on launch, now 8, and now I gotta wait until what, August for the 9th character, whereas XYZ have come out with 20, 30 characters. Will I ever see this character or that character? You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of people disappointed in that. But
Yeah, I have some, I have some opinions. Anyway, I'll let you
yeah, no,
set
no,
it up.
but I was literally just about to ask you, like, what do you think of the roadmap? The roadmap announcement, and what do you think about everything kind of surrounding that from Thursday?
All of it to me is perfect. Like,
Okay.
and I'm going to go into a bit of a rant here, and I don't mean to upset anyone at all who wants more characters, but what's the point in having new characters if you're just going to finish them off, get the build sorted in like a couple of days, and have nothing to do with them?
Mm,
Like the people that are are upset that there isn't like about 30 characters on that roadmap are, no disrespect, kind of thinking the wrong idea here. This isn't Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It's, it's not a game where like it doesn't, I mean, obviously it takes effort, but it's not going to take as much effort for a AAA style game to introduce these characters. And it's like, we've got the tachyon anomalies. Every basically everything we've seen in that roadmap is essentially exactly what people asked for, minus about a million different characters at once. And I can't get
right.
my head around the fact that you can see all of this stuff, MCU skins finally, right? All
Mm-hmm.
these events that people have been begging for, all this content, which, by the way, some people have speculated once a month. Very possible, very
Yep.
possible,
I mean,
and it's and
mm-hmm.
that's awesome. Like, you've got these sort of kind of tie-in events. You've got an expansion, not an operation, an expansion with Wakanda and Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all these things, all this communication, and then you're looking at that and you think, yeah, but where's Scarlet Witch? You know what I mean? And it's like, dude,
Yeah.
what? Like, you're shooting completely in a different angle. Like, if you say this game's boring and then complain that the character didn't get into the roadmap, are you sure it's boring, or are you just being biased at that stage? Like, are you
Sure.
just, you know what I mean? And it's like, people were wondering where's Spider-Man on the roadmap, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking to myself, like, but he's PlayStation exclusive. You can't have Spider-Man in little text on one of the things. You just can't do that. But you're not going to put him in as a big fat picture on the side that's like PlayStation only. Fuck you all. Like, and it was a good roadmap for people to be like, wow, you know what I mean? That this game has
Mm-hmm.
a future.
Yeah.
Fuck for that. We have something. We have Clint. Then we have a great filling to the sandwich, and then the big piece of thick bread at the end is Black Panther. And then once that's done, then we can worry about the future. But right now, at least we know A to B to C to D all the way to Z. You know what I mean? And I can't understand how you can look at that roadmap in a negative manner and be like, yeah, but it didn't have my character on it. Like, shut up. Stop being a child. Like, it's Marvel's Avengers, you know what I mean? And it's like, I didn't buy Marvel's Avengers to play as anyone other than the Avengers. New
Mm-hmm.
characters to me is a really great bonus. I'm excited, obviously, for Black Panther, excited for Spider-Man and stuff like that. But before I knew these characters would even be coming into the game, I was just excited to play as the original. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep.
And if this game was like, okay, guys, look, no new characters, but we're gonna stack you with content as much as we can, great. I'll still buy the game. I'll still play it as much as I do because the characters
Mm.
are fucking awesome, and I'm glad that I get to play as Black Panther, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, and stuff in this environment. But that's not if you bought the game and you're the guy who doesn't play it besides the characters, you're wasting your time anyway because you're not going to get characters pumping out every month like people predicted. I just don't see it.
Well, and that's the thing too is I try to tell people on Thursday that like there's a lot of people who think like they need to release 2 characters a month or a character every month and like I now to be fair in a press release before the game launched it did say like I think it was Cade in October and Clint in November, right? So then there was speculation that Black Panther would come December. Now that's in like the original timeline situation, right? That's like
Yeah.
that's like the non-COVID timeline kind of scenario, right? But there was never like outside of that like a guarantee that characters would come every month. And now I've seen conversations of people saying like characters like 2 characters every month have to be now, or like like a character every month now. And it's just like I think some people are a little disconnected from the reality of the situation that they're in. Now it definitely seems like there probably was an idea at some point to pump out characters as humanly fast as possible, right? And unfortunately, I think what has happened is they've realized that like it's one or the other. It's either operations or content.
Yeah.
Like they've decided based on community feedback, and let's be honest, a lot of us have been screaming for content. They decided to listen, right? And they said these guys want content. That's fine. Let's give them content. We're gonna have to push back our characters to either the back half of 2021 or 2022, right? So they are listening. It's just unfortunate. Maybe they were listening to people that were screaming content. The people who were screaming characters weren't heard, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, at a certain point in the game's lifespan right now, in the shelf life, it does get boring because we've been running the same stuff since September. So I do understand where people are coming from when they talk about characters and they talk about they want their character in, right? Because unfortunately, when you deal with an IP like Marvel, everyone has a character, right? Everyone's got a character they want. But the unfortunate reality is whether this game goes 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it's not everyone's going to get their character, right? So there's a little bit of like, realities kind of hidden in the face a little bit that like there is a certain amount of like there's only so many people can do, right? Like, and they've proven it. I've tried to tell people they've shown us their development pace, right? They've shown us, right? You're in or you're out at this point. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be in, from September to March and expect them to pick up the pace somehow. Now, granted, if they do get back to the studio in the summer, which is still a possibility based on the vaccination schedule of the US, then they can pick things up. But until that point, until, butts are in the seats in their office and they're all kind of collaborating and communicating and they got better internet and better computers and more tools available. Until that moment, they've shown us their development pace. And like I said, you're in or you're out at this point. There's no amount of like goodwill or good thinking or positive vibes that's going to make them be able to pump out 2 characters a month. And because of that, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here and say that Spider-Man, even though he's a PlayStation exclusive and he didn't show up on the roadmap, there is no chance in hell Spider-Man is coming up anytime soon. And I've tried to explain that to people too. And my reasoning for this, Stardust, is because when you're working on a game that has been beaten and bruised and battered like
Wait,
throughout
wait,
its
wait,
whole
wait, wait,
lifespan. What?
wait. So before you go into this point,
Yes.
why you when you were going through like your big
Yes.
thing, dude? I really need the toilet.
Okay. We're gonna take a commercial break, guys. Okay. So the point I was making before Stardust really interrupted me, was that even though Spider-Man is PlayStation exclusive, and there's an argument to be made that he could be on the roadmap, or sorry, couldn't be on the roadmap but still be coming. The argument I'm making here is that when you work on a game that's been so battered and bruised and really needs PR wins, right? Let's face it, like this game definitely needs PR wins. And granted, I still think they won on Thursday. But if they had the opportunity to even talk about Spider-Man, to say Spider-Man was coming, to even hint that he was coming in any part of the next 6 months, which granted, I think the roadmap is only going to extend 6 months. I would argue that probably Black Panther at the end of August is probably a safe bet. But if you had any chance, and I read enough interviews with Scott Amos, and I heard enough things from that man on Thursday, and if there was any chance that he could say Spider-Man is coming, Spider-Man's coming, but instead all he said was PRs allow me to say he's being worked on, right? Like that's all. That's literally it. Now, granted, Sony could be holding the cuffs and saying, "Listen, man, you can't talk about Spider-Man at all." But the argument is to be made that if they had any sort of information on Spider-Man in the release date, Thursday was the perfect opportunity to say it. And I get it. People are holding on hope, saying Spider-Man is coming. Spider-Man is coming. I'm here to tell you, and I'm here to kind of rain on the parade a little bit. If there was any possibility, that would have happened on Thursday. There is just no possibility of that. What you see
I
on that
don't
roadmap,
know.
because man, when you look at this game and you look at everything that has happened with this game in the PR sense, why wouldn't they take a win? That's a win, regardless whether he's in the roadmap or not. There was enough interviews, there was enough sort of PR conversations going around that if Scott was able to say Spider-Man is coming within that, but we didn't want to show him on the roadmap because he's a PlayStation exclusive, there was nothing. There was no hint. Like there's not even a hint that he's even coming like this year. You know what I mean? Like you
I mean,
can probably
you've got to
theorize.
remember who. You've
Yeah.
got to remember who we're dealing with, though, right? There are a lot of
Oh,
decisions that are sometimes made we scratch our heads at, and I think that like that's the thing. And I was saying this yesterday to a couple of people that every single decision that's made and everything that like they say, we always try and look in depth with. It really could be as simple as Sony have it. Sony are going to get the trailer sorted. Sony are the people that hold the information that they're going to be like, okay, we control the hype of Spider-Man, and then we'll market you. That's kind of the deal, right? Is that like you make Spider-Man, we market your game as soon as as soon
I
as it's done.
mean, I guess, but like when you have a big day for the game and you have a chance to talk about one of the biggest characters in the world, I think Sony's not stupid. Like they recognize that there's no state of play coming until like fuck, what is it, March? When was our last state of play? February? There's no state of play coming until like May or June. Like, let's call it. Like, you get like 3-4 state of plays a year, right? The next one's probably before the summer, which then what puts Spider-Man in the summer, fall, probably where I'm thinking the winter. Like they're gonna do it on top of an event, right? So why not do it on top of the event that's dedicated to the game, even if he's not part of the roadmap? Put out a trailer, put out a blog post, keep the hype going from that day forward. I don't look at any of this situation and think Spider-Man's coming in the next 6 months. I look at this and saying Spider-Man's not coming in the next 6 months. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And like, I'm gonna probably get a lot of people who are gonna hate me for it. I understand. I know there's a lot of people I've seen in my comments go, I still think another character's coming, because like they hold on to this like, oh, this is not everything we're working on right now. I get that. I totally understand that. Like, but what they're working on is content. Like they've talked about this before, that what they're working on is content. OLTs, things like Cloney Labs, right? Like they're working on content for us to do. I just don't see them being like, hey guys, Spider-Man coming May 31st or whatever. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. But I mean, at this point, who knows? Like, maybe they're gonna look at this and be like, yeah, that guy, High Ruler John, yeah, we're gonna fuck him. Release Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, and maybe I look like an idiot, but I look at the roadmap, I look at the situation, I look at the words said. Um, I just don't see any character coming between now and Black Panther. I just see them focusing on content, stuff for us to do, and then once I think someone said there's another Square Enix Presents in the summer. I could be wrong on that, but it makes sense to me that by the time you're starting to look at Wakanda, or maybe just after Wakanda, you probably get like another digital presentation of like the next 6 months. That would make sense to me, right? If they're just doing 6 month
Yeah.
intervals, because I mean, I think planning for the short term for them is probably easier than the long term, right? It seems to me like their situation is pretty fluid right now, and they probably recognize it's pretty fluid. If they can get back into the studio midsummer, that probably opens up more resources for them. So they're probably thinking, let's do the next 6 months, and then after that, as we kind of figure out where we're going, logistically, then we open up the next 6 months after the roadmap, and then figure out where they're going from here. Which is where, if anything, I could see more characters coming out in the back half of this year than the front half. You know what I mean? Like, it just seemingly that would make sense, right? Maybe they go content heavy for the next 6 months, and then as we get into the back half, they go character heavy, and then maybe everyone wins.
Yeah, I mean, again, we just don't know till we get to that point. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's a really awkward thing because, we could be talking about this literally like, we could go in circles about this, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not really. We don't know until we get the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like,
Yep.
and this is what I mean. Like, and this is why I think another reason that like I mentioned earlier, having Spider-Man on this roadmap, I think if he was ready or is close or whatever in this space, would have really been. I don't think it would have been a good PR move to have a bracket all just for a PlayStation exclusive character. But then again, I say that it seems to me that the people just want him now. Like
Yeah.
even
At this
people on
point, they
other
don't.
consoles are like, "Where the fuck's Spider-Man for the PlayStation guys?" Like all of a sudden, it's gone from the worst thing ever to everyone's just rallying for PlayStation
Because
to get these guy. They get
because
this guy in.
I think people are just over it. You know what I mean? People are just done with this conversation, regardless. Like, whether you want Spider-Man or you're not, I think people are just done with this. Like, people are just tired of the conversation. Now, I'll make one caveat. Okay, I know there's playtesting coming up this week. That's 100%. I know it. If I get word that Spider-Man is a part of the playtest, I will change my opinion, and I will do my very best to find that out between now and next Sunday. If the playtest included Spider-Man, if they didn't, I will hold true to my word that he is not anytime soon. But if that changes, I will come back Sunday. I will tell you that Spider-Man has a good chance to come out before Black Panther. But I need a little more information before I make that call. Right now, I'm going to make the call that he is probably after Black Panther. That's just the way it's going to be. Just the way it's going to be.
I am. I mean, here's the thing, right?
Mm.
If we get the playtests, it's scary if any leak comes out
No,
without
apparently
any
you just
form
posted
of
on
proof.
4chan and there's no repercussions. So just
Post it on 4chan and it'll look fake as shit.
I mean,
I
I
was
mean,
like,
posting on 4chan, your source will confirm it. No,
that's right, mate. See,
I mean you did
that's
post a
right.
video. You did post a video like actually like confirming that those leaks weren't real. So I mean, just
So I know
saying.
what I'm talking about exactly. That's what I mean. So like, we get these leaks, and
Right,
I'll hit up like my person because they don't
right,
have a gender, and I'll be
right.
like,
Of course, you gotta keep it
listen,
very. Yeah, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
listen,
Sorry. Mm.
listen here, person in the shadows. How is how these playtests looking? Are they real or not? And
Mm.
all I'll get is yes or no, and then I'll be able to make the video.
There you go, guys. And
There
what
you
I'll
go.
do is I'll make sure if Stardust has that information, I will make sure he makes a video on it. Because I mean, he is a guy, girl, source. I got no one. I get like third hand information. So it's crazy. It's crazy how Hollywood Stardust works around here, eh? It's crazy.
It's fun. It's fun. It's funny, right? It's funny
The
how
web he
like
weaves.
the co-host is doing all right.
Just remember who made
Not
the
doing
call on the
too
roadmap,
bad.
buddy. Just remember who made the call on the roadmap. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, but everyone made the call on the roadmap.
No one made the call with the amount of confidence that I did. Just remember that one.
All right,
Speaking
all
of
right.
speaking of the roadmap, obviously the big news coming out of the roadmap was obviously Black Panther and the War for Wakanda. So when I saw this trailer, I was pretty fucking hyped. You know, it was just nice to see that he was finally announced, right? We know he was coming, you know, but it was just so nice to see that he, you know, he was there, you know, and that suit looked incredible. Right? I was
Yeah.
kind of worried after the
This.
concept art, and I was like, "Oh God, like this is gonna be hideous." And I was expecting
Do,
something hideous, you know. And then he comes
just
out, and
real
it's
quick,
yeah, of
can I
course,
just really quick
of
interrupt? You
course,
remember the
yeah,
conversation we were having about leaks? How I
yes,
think that leaks create a wrong narrative sometimes. Do you
yes.
see what I mean now?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, like, of course. You know, when all you, but to be fair, when all you have is concept art, you know, you know, that's all you got. You know, that's really all there is. So I mean, like, yeah, obviously, like, leaks can create like a false narrative or whatever, but that concept art was ugly. Like, that was fucking ugly, man. Like, let's call a spade a spade. That shit was ugly, right? Compared to
I
like what
liked
we
it.
did you actually?
Compared to what we got, it is bad because I like what
Right.
we got a
Okay.
lot.
Okay.
But I
Yes.
will say that if they released the concept art version, I would have been all right with it. I mean, it's definitely not black, that's for sure. But I
Well, that could
think
also
that
be like the
maybe
shading in the art too, right? Like that could all like that could be shading the art, you know, like the colors and you know everything like that.
I mean it's not that different, you know. It's just like different
Yeah.
material for it. It's not as
Yeah.
bulky. The
True. I
actual
mean,
design itself is pretty much the same.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think maybe like what I would like to see is like, you know, obviously maybe there was a little bit of they saw the response to the concept art. I mean, like you may be like one of the only people I've heard that actually liked it. There was a lot of people I heard that actually didn't like it at all. So I mean, but I mean, maybe that's just going to be one of his skins, right? Maybe that's a different skin down the line, you know, that you're gonna get for him. But I mean, I think what we got was super fucking good. I mean, I look at the trailer, I look at the hype, I look at the Wakanda. I hear kind of a little bit of Claw talking about the invasion. Like obviously, you know, there was a lot of people like right after like, oh god, more robots, and it's like I've been trying to tell them it's still gonna be robots, right? Like it's going to be robots, and obviously there's going to be a little bit of Claw's faction as well. There's going to be two new villains at the very least, but like it's still going to be robots. You know, we're not at the point of the game yet where new content's not going to have robots. You know.
Well, AIM's a part of it, right? So they're
Yeah,
not going to just completely ruin I mean, at most, you've got Claw's faction controlling the robots.
yeah.
That's what you've got. Like,
It could be like a little bit of like the first few missions are robots, you know, because like Claw's sending the robots in instead of his own men, maybe. And then you beat down like the forces that like Monica gave him, and then you start getting into like Claw's faction, and then eventually you work your way up to Claw, right? Like there could be a little bit of that. So like maybe most of the expansion isn't actually robots, you know. That'd be an okay
mm.
no okay to do it, I don't think, or I would think. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
I
what
mean, you could always have the robots as just the stepping stone to Claw's faction, you know?
Well, that's exactly it, right? But what did you think of like the trailer? Like, how hyped are you after that? Like, give me your thoughts, kind of, because you were streaming at the same time, right? So like,
Of
how?
course, yeah.
Yeah. So like, what did you like? How was your reaction? Like, what did you think? And then like, kind of give me your whole thoughts and like what you're expecting out of the expansion as a whole.
The trailer does exactly what reveal trailers should do. Because like as soon as we saw the greenery, right, and we
Mm-hmm.
saw like the stone and so we were like, this is definitely Wakanda. It was instantly like, oh, it's Wakanda, and I couldn't even hear Claw speak. I had to watch it again. Because when people were like Claw, I didn't hear Claw. It was because I was
Yeah.
too busy going, "It's Wakanda! Oh my god!" And then obviously when it was the slow build up and the door thing was opening, I was like, here he
Mm.
comes, here he comes. And then he drops down. I'm like, ah, like it's fucking such a cool build up and it's great. Like there's no better way of doing it. It was showing you Wakanda, how beautiful it looks.
Yeah.
And then it showed this gorgeous scenery in front of T'Challa. And then obviously his awesome like Avengers with me. And I was like,
Yeah.
ah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Yep.
it's you know, you couldn't help for a second of, you know, because the thing is, when you're in positions similar to like just content creation on this game,
Mm.
sometimes you overanalyze things. Sometimes you
Sure.
can't help but look at the reasons things are happening or why these choices were made. But
Yep.
in that moment, watching that Black Panther trailer, I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like I was
Yeah.
texting friends. I was like, guys, the Avengers game that you all snuffed up on me for playing. Yeah, well,
Yep.
the fact that you guys think it's boring. Well, look at the fucking views on this Black Panther trailer. Look
Yeah.
at this dude. He is so gorgeous. Like you're
Yep.
all crazy. Like, and the thing is, I had people in chat because one of my friends was modding the event, and he's not like he's not into superheroes much. And
Yeah.
after watching the roadmap and the reaction to that trailer, even he was like, I think this game's going to be redeemed. Like,
Yeah.
and it's the things of like when you see people that excited, and the thing is, you're obviously going to get assholes that all of a sudden try and pull it away from Avengers.
Oh
Like,
yeah, of
oh,
course.
I'd love this Black Panther in an open world Wakanda. It's like,
Right.
if you like this Black Panther, then fucking praise the game, not try
Yep.
and rip it out. That's so
Yeah.
dickish. Like Black Panther is going to be so sick. And here's the thing, just because I'm having a bit of a fan moment now that you've asked me, with we know that Taka and Anomaly is going to have animated nameplates. I want that event more often so I can get animated nameplates for Black Panther, for Spider-Man, all of that shit. I want to play all of this content with the new characters. I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And I want them
Yep.
to refresh that stuff so I can just, T'Challa's out. Well, guess what? I'm off to go get some nameplates. I'm off to go unlock some fucking skins. I'm off to go
Yep.
do this, that, and the other. And it's gonna be so great. And say that's why content needs to be first, because then when the characters come out, you've got so much to do with them. You've got
Yeah.
so much. It's not just running vaults, it's running events, it's doing this end game content, it's getting, imagine how awesome it's going to feel when you're playing as Black Panther and you've done the Wakanda stuff, and you think to yourself, okay, I think I'm ready for the higher stuff, and you have like a fucking raid to do, you have
Yeah.
OLTs, you have they can release MCU skins for Black Panther. That
Yep.
you can run Veronica's Cosmic Cube. You can do the previous content stories, but play as Panther, as just some sort of weird like situation. And
Yep.
then and it's just there's so much you can do, and it's so exciting. But
Yep.
you wouldn't have that excitement if they just went, "Oh, characters out month before you get into the shit." You know what I mean?
Fair.
Because then
That's
it's
fair.
like I'm excited to not just play as Black Panther. I'm excited to go and visit Wakanda. I'm
Yeah.
excited to go fight in Wakanda. Like it's so, and from what we've seen, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful setting, as Wakanda's always been shown in anything Marvel media related. It's
Yeah.
such a beautiful nature area, and then for it to be like full scale invasion, I'm expecting Infinity War style fights, man. Like
Yeah.
in the middle, and if someone's playing as Thor, you can fucking recreate it, throw the shit, boom. Like,
I mean, it would be
and
nice, right? Like because
yeah,
I mean that ties into what Phil said, right? Phil wants to hit higher notes as superheroes. They want to do more crazy things that these Marvel characters can do. And ideally, when you start getting into like a full scale invasion, when you start talking Wakanda, like there is a sense of like the stakes are higher. Like there is more that happens in these kind of stories and more of these things that are happening. So I mean, like it's very well possible that you get your big Infinity War kind of fight, you get your big kind of Thor moment. Like it's one of those things where it's like if Phil isn't just hyping things up, and to be honest, we can talk about the developer stream, but I actually really think Phil is like completely honest with when he says these things. I think you're probably like online, like in line there with like expecting some of these big moments when it comes to like the Black Panther and the War for Wakanda expansion. It just, to me, it feels like that's like the big moment to be like, fucking right, guys, here we go, kind of situation, right? Like it
like
screams that moment
yeah.
for me, right? So, sorry, I know I kind of cut you off there. Was there anything you were kind of hoping to
Well,
fanboy out
well,
about?
Well, I mean, the thing is that we know that there's an endless supply of aimbots, right? But
Yeah.
there's not an endless supply of humans. So obviously, the
Mm,
claw. So if we do have an Infinity War style battle, I'm expecting it just be stacked with aimbots, but it's
yeah.
fine because on the next gen, especially, and we know that custom harm rooms can support a great deal of stuff going on. If we
Sure.
could, I would love an idea of like you have say you have to play as Black Panther, but you've got like the other Avengers next to you because maybe they bump up how many people can be on your strike team, and you
Yeah.
just stack all the Avengers on your side. You have a bunch of Shield guys behind you, a bunch of the Resistance behind you, and you just rush this fucking field towards Claw and Aim, and you have this awesome cinematic thing where you're just fighting through the robots to get to Claw, and it's like, it's mate,
Yeah.
just give me it.
No, for sure, for sure. I mean, like that's the thing is like ideally, what let me throw something to you. Would you like to
Okay.
see one big expansion, what, like every 8 months maybe? Like so like maybe like one big expansion every 8 months and then like maybe like one operation, the rest be like content? Cuz like would that be suitable like would that be a suitable year for you if that was like a like looking forward if that was like Avengers, you know?
So what you so say like in a year's space, there's one operation and one expansion, and that's it.
And then the rest is content drops, like similar to like a
Oh
Red
yeah,
Room or
no,
similar.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, absolutely, yeah. I was thinking that you were just like just the one operation, one expansion. I'm like,
No, no,
no,
no, no. Yeah, yeah, no.
no.
So like you get so like say for example like 2022, say like halfway through you get like a Captain Marvel expansion, and then maybe at the start of the year you get like I don't know, give me like a Winter Soldier operation, and then spread throughout the rest of the year it's like content drops, events, stuff like that. Would you look at that and say that that's like a successful year? Because when I look at the
Oh yeah,
roadmap and
yeah.
I think about where they could go, that to me screams doable. But the problem with that is like I don't know if people would be okay with that, you know?
People, the thing is, and you're always going to get people that are complaining because their
Mm,
character isn't in there yet, or their
yes.
idea that they've thought about hasn't been put in yet, or like
Mm-hmm.
something specific. But like people from Marvel Heroes that came to this game wanted patrol mode. Guess what we're getting? Patrol
Patrol
mode.
mode. Yep.
People wanted MCU skins. Guess what?
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like people wanted to play as the same hero on the same team. Guess what we're getting? Like, you know
Yep.
what I mean? Like, it's not, you can't, get those things and then go complain about another stack of things because that worked originally. That's unfair. You're getting what you have
Yeah.
asked for. Same with campaign replay, right? The goalpost keeps moving for some people. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
campaign replay is great, but oh, we can't chapter select. It's like, yeah, but not every game can anyway. Like, you're putting
Sure.
this game to such ridiculous standards that if it does one thing
Mm-hmm.
out of line, it's a failure. It's
Right.
terrible. Like after, so say for example, after Square Enix presents the hype's real, right? But I
Yep.
go on and I face one bug, and I'm like, that's it, game's dead, shit. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
shit
Right.
again. It's like you're putting it to such ridiculous standards that no other game has to deal with because it isn't Marvel. Yeah,
Right.
okay. People say the Marvel license does help it. Of course it helps it. I wouldn't play it if it wasn't Marvel, but that's just
No.
because I love Marvel. Like, but I also understand that with the Marvel license comes extremely high standards
Yep.
that no other game in this genre has to relentlessly face. Avengers is winning, in my mind, with the roadmap. You people are getting exactly what they want. It's not out yet, but they've like, you are getting what you want. We have put our money on the table. Here we go. Right.
Yep.
And people are still looking for, yeah, but then what about this? What about this? It's like, yeah, fucking enjoy what's coming. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the thing is, even in the
Yeah.
corner, it's like, it's not, they haven't announced everything that's in progress. So
Right.
maybe you'll still get some of the stuff that you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, obviously it's absolutely fine to be like, I think this would be cool. I think this would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at that roadmap and you think this is shit because it got everything that I wanted minus the one thing, you're just kind of being a dick.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like glass half empty or glass half full. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
Yeah.
you could look at things and be like, this is all very cool, and it didn't get the like. It's sort of the way I looked at the 18th, for example, right? I kept telling people, this isn't for me, that isn't for me, but that's for me. But if those two things that aren't for me are for you, that's really cool. Like it's not always about me, for example, right? In the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
way that like I look at a lot of the stuff on the roadmap, for example. Maybe I don't have the greatest time with Tachyon Anomaly. Maybe I don't have the greatest time with the Red Room, but more than likely it'll probably be the Red Room. I probably won't have the greatest time with that. But there's going to be other people who are going to enjoy it, and I'm going to be very happy for them. I'll probably play it because it's content, but I'm not jumping for joy over it. But on the one hand, I know someone, probably is a big Black Widow fan, is super excited for the movie, and they look at that and they're like, that's what I want. I want to play that. And like, all the power to them. Like someone else's enjoyment doesn't impact my enjoyment versus like my non-enjoyment shouldn't impact someone else's non-enjoyment. And it's just one of those weird things where it's like I said earlier, I understand people are a little disappointed in certain things. I understand, you look at a lot of these things, you're like, this isn't for me, this isn't for me. And like I get it. Like not everyone's going to be happy. The goal of game development is to make everyone happy. It's to make the majority of your players happy with the majority of the things you do. Like that's like and that goes for a lot of things in life. Like that's a life thing. That's not just a game development thing. Um and I hope that people look at a lot of these things that are coming on the roadmap and they go, okay, that's not personally for me, but it's going to be for someone. And as long as a lot of people are happy and these are things that'll bring players into the game, there's more people to play with, there's more people to do things with, there's healthier community, which means that the game may go on longer than what they could be intending it for, which means you have a better shot at getting some of the things you want, right? If you kind of
Exactly. Yeah.
it's just it's one of those things where like the mentality has to shift a little bit, right? Like it can't be me. It has to be us, right? It's a collective. It's a community collective at that point. And I hope people look at some of these things. They don't take it so internal. They don't take it and say like these game developers have personally hurt me because they're not including what I wanted. It's like the game development isn't over, right? This is a game that ideally will have years of development as long as it goes well, and there's always a shot, you know? If something you want is something the community wants and the community vocalizes it, there's a good chance, as we saw, that they'll try to incorporate it, right? Like, I screamed at them forever about communication, and lo and behold, they were actually listening. They just couldn't talk about it because of this event, right? How many people
Mm.
screamed about four Hulks in a party? Well, now it's four Hulks in a party, right? And Phil had said now, if that's something you guys want while it's happening, we'll make that permanent. We'll bring the event back, or we'll do something so those people have what they want, right? Like, there's always a chance that if you scream loud enough, you'll get some sort of variation of what you're asking for, but don't also shit on the people who are getting what they want at the same time, right? Like, and I,
Well,
I feel like I
here's the
go on
thing
this
as
rant like at
well.
least once a
Yeah.
week, but like, you know what I mean? It's just like there's a lot of people who were very quick to shit on people on Thursday, like, and granted,
Yeah.
it was a small minority, right? But I hope people look at that and say like, there's still a chance that I can get what I want, and it's just a matter of like, people need to keep playing, people need to keep being engaged in the game. And if people are engaged with the game, they're spending money, then there is always a chance you get something that you want in the game, whether
Well,
it's a
here's
character or content.
yeah. Here's the thing as well is that like they're going to be looking at the data from the Tachyon anomaly events, see how well
Yes.
that this sort of thing's doing, right? If
Yeah.
people who wanted this don't play the game, or if people who
Mm-hmm.
are begging for these things have just completely given up on it because it was like, oh, I didn't get all this on release day, then you're shooting yourselves in the foot. And I'm not saying
Sure.
like, oh, you have to play it or else this game.
Right.
Like you do whatever you want, but my point is that you put your money where your mouth is, and you sort of
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay, I did get what I want. I'm going to jump in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
Yep.
for the people that are just ranting about things to put in the game and don't then go, oh, they did it. All right, I'm going to jump in.
Right.
It's
Right.
kind of like where's your head at then? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so
Yep.
some people when this roadmap came out screaming too little too late, it's like fuck you, that is a year or well at least 6 months worth of content. How can you
Yeah.
say that? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's not it gets to a point where people are just a little bit unfair and they don't want to admit it. And I think
Yeah.
that there was something in that little trailer with the roadmap and Panther for everyone,
Yes.
everyone.
Yep.
And that's why Avengers was trending.
Yep.
Avengers, for a moment, was the game that everyone turned their heads and looked at for the first fucking time since launch, or
Yep.
no, before launch even. People turned their heads at something positive about Avengers,
Yep.
which tells me that all it needs is for these things to hit properly. And
Yep.
we will see a rise, and by the end of the year, Black Panther maybe
Oh no!
will
Before,
be
way before the end of the year. Way before the end of the year.
yeah. Well, with Black Panther, at the very least, that'll be the cement that covers the cracks,
Yep.
and we'll have a very healthy fan base.
Yeah,
Very
of course. I
healthy.
mean, like, I've been saying that like a lot of this game needs is one, like, good communication, and two, like, content. I think that's what everyone has said for the most part, right? Like, it's like, give us stuff to do, talk to us about the stuff you're working on, and that's really all it takes, right? Like, and I agree
Yeah.
with what you said about the roadmap. The roadmap has something for everyone, right? Whether it's OLT and Cloney Lab stuff, or whether it's you really dying for MCU skins, or you're looking at the Black Widow stuff, the Tachyon stuff, the Cosmic Cube stuff. Like there is a little bit sprinkled there that I think everyone can at least look the one thing on that and say like that's pretty cool. I'm excited for that. And if you can't,
Yeah,
that's fine, but don't shit on other people for enjoying it either. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. Yeah,
like let's hope the game makes it long enough so that everyone gets at least one thing that they're like this is what I want. You know, that to me that's what I want. I want everyone to look at the game over the course of its life and say I really like that thing, because then you know as long as they hit something for everyone, you know, hopefully most people are happy with it, and that's really all we want. Well, that's really all I want. You know, want everyone to just be playing the game and enjoying it. You know, but we'll see how that turns out. You make a good point though that like it depends on them hitting it. You know what I mean? Like a roadmap's good, and I said this too. It's like if they hit it and if they hit everything, you know that's gonna be great. And that's one of the things I said is that you don't put out a roadmap in an event like this if you're not confident in your ability to hit these things. You know what I mean? Now,
exactly. Yeah,
granted,
this is why not everything's on there. You know, this is why they
well,
made a point that's like not everything is on there.
right, and granted, they never gave dates either. But like it is, I would be very okay speculating that it's April, May, June, July, August. You know, maybe Black Panther gets pushed to September. Maybe August is a month that nothing comes out, or maybe there's a month where nothing comes out. But I'd be very comfortable in the April, May, June, July, maybe August, but most likely September scenario, because that does line up with them kind of doing the first half of the year and then the second half of the year another digital event and be like, hey guys, like here's your back half of the year kind of situation. And
Yeah.
to me, that just it makes a lot of sense. So I mean, when we look at the roadmap, as I said it on Thursday, and I've said it many times before. I'm very hopeful for the future of the game. You know, is this game perfect? No. Is this game getting better very slowly? Yeah. Does the roadmap kind of make me feel very hopeful that by you know the summer, going into the fall, you know that this game will be in a very much better state? Yeah, of course. You know, it's one of those things where unfortunately it just takes time. You know, we've done this conversation to death. Everyone has. You know, the game shouldn't have launched. It should have this. It should have that. Unfortunately, you know, there's only so many times you can look over the fence to a different reality and say that's how it should be, and instead just focusing on this is the reality that it is. You know, and that's just kind of where it at. And to be quite fair to a lot of people, I've seen a lot more people just kind of accept it. You know, like they're like, yeah, this game didn't launch the way I wanted, but you know, it is what it is at this point. So I mean, it does seem like that is kind of the case of like people are just like accepting of where it is, but also accepting of where it could go. You know, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, for
All
sure.
all right, so that's the roadmap kind of covered. Was there any one thing just before we move on that you look at the roadmap and you're like, I'm really excited for this one piece of content or one thing on the roadmap? Is there anything that kind of jumped out at you? And no, your answer cannot be War for Wakanda. I'm going to make you pick something else.
That's actually, I was actually going to say that. I was like, well, something besides Black Panther, the
Right.
Wasteland Patrol. Wasteland
Okay.
Patrol.
Okay. That's actually a
Absolutely.
good one.
Because I was never in Marvel Hero. I wanted to be. It's not that I just
Okay.
didn't touch it. It's just I didn't know it existed. Because I was young. I was quite young when it was quite, you know, a lot of people were
Right.
on it. So, like, I never really got into it until it was pretty much gone, right? So
Right.
when people are like, oh, I'd love patrol mode in this game, imagine stuff like I don't get it. But then I was watching, I'm going to use my one clout thing. I was watching Tony Bing's old Marvel Omega videos,
Yeah.
and I was like, that looks really fun. And then when
Yeah.
they announced patrol mode, which again a lot of people asked for, and I was like, wait, so it's pretty much technically like a free roam area. We can get dailies
Yep.
and weeklies. We can just run around farm it. That's
Yep.
fucking awesome.
Yep.
Like
What?
I can play this non-stop. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is great.
Well, and the way they explained it too is like three major areas, and I guess like now we can like sort of you know change gears a little bit here and talk about you know the dev stream, because the dev stream they really went into a little bit more detail on it. And I'm gonna pull up my notes here, and of course like this is all from Phil on Friday. So you know Phil had said you know they're still designing some aspects. The goal is to have an open space, not to be a typical mission structure, which allows more freedom, like you said. So kind of the idea is that you hang out, you enjoy the fighting, the farming. They took the inspiration from our vault runs. You know, they kind of saw how players were running vaults, and they
Yeah.
decided to take kind of that mission structure, throw a few things in, spice it up, put it over a new area. They had said that, like I said, it's three different areas tied to this mode. So it's a graveyard, I think it's like an old shield base and then like a ruined city as well. So no, you're 100% right. Is that it's just like a big open area that like the whole goal is to just kind of get in there, farm around, move around, kind of have some fun. Um, my worry is that it's going to be a very empty space. You know what I mean? Like my worry is that
Yeah.
it's going to be very empty. There's going to be not a lot of enemies. One of the things that made Marvel Heroes really great was that on in the Midtown it was just bosses, right? And like
Hmm.
if bosses don't show up here, and screw the narrative at this point, like just get the bosses to show up. You know what I mean? Like there's only so far narratives can take you. And with a mode like this, there is no narrative reason. Like let's just call it. There's no narrative reason for this for like just to be hanging out in the wasteland. You know what I mean? Like, so right there, you're already breaking your narrative. So why don't you just have all the bosses spawn over and over and over again and just let us farm them? You know what I mean? And maybe get some drops out of them or, higher chance of exotics or something like that. Like, there has to be a reason there instead of like run around, open chest, chest this, chest that. Like, you gotta have some enemies spawn there, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously because I've seen it, I kind of the thing is with Avengers.
Hmm.
And something that I've always wanted to have the feeling of is I was never into obviously Marvel heroes, but I was into Marvel uh Avengers Alliance, Marvel Avengers, yeah,
Okay,
a
I never played
Facebook
that.
game. It's
So,
like
oh,
it
okay,
was like a
that's
it
why.
was like a turn-based Facebook game, and me and my friends were into that ridiculously. Like we used to have arguments because one of my friends was like, "Human Torch is so good," and I was like, "I think he's crap," and then we just fall out.
You guys
and
took
like
Facebook games that serious, eh? You guys are like a bunch
it's
of
a Marvel thing,
you guys are
dude.
a bunch of
Like
grandmothers playing freaking I don't know what's that Farmville or whatever. Jeez.
it was oh mate, Yeovil. Remember those days? Jeez, Pet Society and stuff. My God, what absolute bangers of games. Anyway, though I mean those were I'd run from school and I would instantly go to like do an event like a film event because I'd want
Hmm.
this really cool weapon to put on
Right.
my agent and stuff. It was kind of like Marvel Strike Force.
Okay.
It was a bit more watered down. Like it didn't have a gear system and stuff, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
it'd just be more upgrades and weapons. That's it. And it would be one of those things where I'd be like, I can't wait to get back from school and do this. I hope the patrol mode gives me a sort of thing where it's like, oh, the new dailies are out. I wonder what missions are. I wonder who's dropping in the wasteland today. Are we going to get fucking I don't know a spawn out of nowhere of Modoc? Maybe they could do it in a narrative sense. Use the
Right.
tachyon anomalies. Oh shit, there's a portal. A tachyon portal has just popped up. Oh, Modoc's here. Fucking go run after him, beat him up, go grab some
Yep.
loot. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And
Yep.
that's there is a way of doing it, and I think that just being able to like, oh look, there's this empty building. I'm gonna go grab some loot. I come outside. There's two super adaptors. I'm like, that's nice. And I
Yep.
have to like, I think to myself, do I go over there, beat them up, and hope that they drop something juicy, or do I think to myself, the two of them, I think I'm gonna try and maybe find a singular abomination or a taskmaster out and
Right.
about,
Right.
where
Yeah.
we go in and stuff. And I think that as long as they make the area, because it's a wasteland, so I'm not expecting to see humans walking
Hmm.
about, but it'd be pretty nice to see resistance people, like we
Yeah.
saw in Future Imperfect, maybe strolling down doing patrols and stuff. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Just make it feel alive a little bit. That's not like
Yeah.
a static area. Yeah. Of course. Of course. And that'll be the challenge too. Like there'll be a challenge to this, right? To make it engaging, but also not make it feel like a very static and you're alone kind of space either. And that'll be the goal. And I mean, I see them pulling it off. I really do. I really hope they do because the idea of a patrol mode really expands farming ability, right? You really can now you have a great game mode that allows players to farm. So like they hit this and they hit this really well. Like it just opens the game up a lot more in terms of like what you can do, what you can get from it. So like
Yep.
there's a
And
lot
it's
there's a
yeah.
lot of things to be gained from really making sure this mode really hits.
They said themselves as well, didn't they? They said if this goes well, we'll do it for more places. Like, can you imagine
Yep.
an Eastern Seaboard patrol mode is literally Midtown from Marvel Heroes
Yeah,
Omega.
it is.
Like,
Exactly.
there we
Yeah.
go.
And I would
So I
imagine
mean,
they didn't want to lead off with that because they would be like, "Oh, this is just Midtown." But you hit this one really well, players are gonna be like, "Where's Midtown?" You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly. Where is it? Like, a
yeah,
AAA version of that. Yeah, no, exactly.
yeah,
And And it's just I'm just excited for it, to be honest, and it's just this is
Mm.
why resetting from where I am doesn't halt me that much, because no matter where I'm going to be in the game, my heroes, everything else, are going to look drastically different a year from now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the thing too. Is that's what I tell people. I've had people pop into my chat and be like, "Should I do this? Should I do that?" I was like, "Man, there's really no rush to get to 150 right now." I said, like, could there be in a month? Yeah, totally. Like they've said, like Colonial Labs and these stuff will release when it's ready. So like, you'll probably have like a week's notice for when these things are ready. But like at this point, like, just kind of have some fun with it. You know what I mean? Don't feel like you have to rush, even though the completionist in you, or the the competitive side of you says like you got to hit 150 as fast as you can. It's like there's really no rush unless you want to run that harder content. So if you're not a hardcore player, you're just someone that's like approaching the game, you just kind of get acclimated to it. It's like, yeah, like just enjoy the game, right? Like you'll get to the harder content when you get there, and hopefully by the time you do get there, we're all kind of in the same boat together at that point, right? Like everyone's
Yeah,
just kind of running through it at once, and ideally that's exactly what will happen, right? Like Phil in the dev stream, mentioned that, Colonial Labs is kind of like a base, like, well, it is like what we experience on base, so it may not be as hard as like what we're kind of thinking, but still, it's still end game content that we're going to be running together and trying to figure out together. So there's still like an aspect of like the community is going to be all in together at these certain points. So to your point, and to my point, talking with some people, is like there's just no rush right now. Just have some fun with it, enjoy, get learn these characters, gear up as you can, and then hopefully by the time you start pushing that end game, you're pushing for the Mega Hive, the Last Avenger Standing. We're talking about build templates and stuff like that for Colonial Labs and such. So no, but I hear you, man. I hear you. Like, over the next 6 months, if they talked about some gear stuff, they talked about all this sort of stuff, like there's a chance like our characters look different in the next 6 months, let alone like the next
yeah,
year,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Like War for Wakanda has the ability to shake everything up, right? New power level. We know there's going to be like new gear stuff launching. The stuff that they did talk about with gear is very exciting. Let me just read it out here. So gear tuning. So these are my notes I took from the dev stream guys. So they basically want to give us more customization and meaningful customization. That means like characters play different with different items. So you can have like a different play style for a character. These are like big changes they want to make, not incremental. So and also, for example, if you have a piece of gear you like, they're gonna change it so that you can like that gear piece for a lot longer. Phil had mentioned gear re-rolling. Like there's so many things here. I could go on and on and on about gear, but like there's a good chance that by the time Wakanda comes out, we're totally talking something way different with our characters, and that's exciting. Like that's what we wanted. To be honest with you, when Phil was talking about that, I could just feel like I was like, Phil, did you like you're like touching my heart right now a little bit, dude, because like I've sat here for so long. I said gear should be impacting the way we play, not just like number increases, like actually impacting our characters on like a very tangible way. And he's like, yeah, like gear's gonna change the way you play. It's gonna change the way your character plays, and it fits your play style. I'm like, Phil, hey bud, love you, dude. You know what I mean? Like it was just one of those things. So it's like, to your
Well,
point, yeah.
yeah, like Clint's exotics are
Mm,
really close to that. I've been seeing
yep,
some crazy stuff where it's like an extra bunch of arrows to your split shot, an extra
yep.
thing to this, more power to this. Like it's not stat sticks. These things are like, obviously some are. There's going to be some
But
exotics
they're
that are
like
just stat
actions to
sticks.
them. There's like actions to
Y-
them instead of like the statistics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
that's a really good step. And it's nice to see. I'm also apparently, now I don't know about this, but apparently there's supposed to be new gear coming out with the heroes in Future Imperfect. So I don't know if anyone's found new gear for the older characters yet,
Yeah, I
but
don't know that.
apparently,
I know that's a thing. I know Andy had said that's a thing. But I actually don't know. I've not seen too much. I don't know. Like there could be people who haven't just don't know it's new. To be honest with you.
well, they did mention in the patch notes that Iron Man and Kate can get range cryo now. So maybe that's all they meant.
Oh, like new battery. Like you can do battery
Yeah.
effects with other things. Yeah, like maybe. That's probably a safer bet than expecting like, oh, brand new exotics. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, it's probably best to kind of err on the side of caution than it is to like, oh my god, Captain America is a brand new exotic and it does this and it does, you know what I mean? Yeah, so
yeah.
maybe that's all it is. It's just like, oh, like you can do different status effects now with like different characters. So, I mean, I'll temper my expectations now until like I see some pieces and maybe it's gonna be like, yeah, Stardust was right, or like, no, Stardust was wrong. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be one of those things. But, I mean, ideally, with where they're going with gear, hopefully we don't have to wait too long for some of these big changes anyway. So it's like, and to be honest with you, I see all that gear stuff at least being done by Black Panther. Like a new expansion seems like a
Yeah,
perfect
for
time
sure.
to have that all kind of ready to go. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, what are you waiting realistically? Like, 3 months? No, 4 months. Wait, April, May, June, July. April, May, June, July, August. 5 months. Oh my god, dude. I can't count. I don't know anything anymore, man. Don't bully me. Someone's in the comments gonna be like, dude, do you not know your months? Oh god. That's it. That's it, dude. I just make it too easy for people apparently. Way
This
too
is what I
easy.
mean. This is why people troll you. This is like
Yeah, I
it's like the thing
know.
with me napping during the stream. It's like because I've
No.
denied it, people are still on me for it. So I might as well just have said like I did nap.
Well, let's talk about it because like,
Here we go.
um, so
Here we go.
before we switch topics though, I will say the format of the dev stream, guys. If you haven't really watched the dev stream before, they did say that like the dev streams are going to be a lot more informational now. So it's not going to be just kind of like come on and play with us. It's going to be like they're going to come on, they're going to talk about some information, they're going to answer some questions, and they're going to peace out, which I actually like a lot more. Rather than just kind of like you get like 5 minutes worth of information, the rest is kind of just like watching them play games. Like, and I get it for a lot of people who did play games with them and hung out with them. It's probably a little disappointing, but I think overall the idea that they're coming on a weekly basis to give us a lot more information, is probably just better overall for the communication. Like it just seems like it's a lot better.
Can I just really quick transport
Yeah.
us back to the artifact talk because the stats have been posted for them, the perks.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So uh particle accelerator increases the amount of particle damage dealt with any attack by 30%,
Mm-hmm.
increases the duration of active particle status effects by 6 seconds,
Right.
and obviously then summon Hank Pym to attack enemies with particle damage.
Right.
That is
Mm-hmm.
really strong if
Yes.
you run particle build. That is
Yes.
ridiculous.
Yes.
So I mean that alone is something that because I mentioned earlier, everyone, if you try and get the maestro things by going offline,
Yep.
that if any of your characters run particle, or if you've not finished with Clint yet and you see that artifact,
Yeah.
particle might be the way to go.
Yeah. I mean, and here's an interesting thought, just really quickly on this. What if some of these characters that were data mined end up being summons? You know what I mean? Like, how would
Uh,
yeah, I just kind of wonder if that's the direction they're gonna go with some of these characters, right? Like, um,
no.
I mean, I gotta say it. I gotta say it. It might be the elephant in the room. I gotta say it. Like, doesn't that scream like the doors wide open now to some of these things happening? Like, you're gonna do Hank Pym. Like, it just screams like this. Like the doors wide open now.
I mean,
So
you
the
can
que-
still do Ant-Man as Scott Lang.
Oh no, you're 100% right, but I think nowadays, like when the door's wide open like this, it's a perfect way to take existing characters and like repurpose them in a way that, you don't have to do a complete character, right? Now, let me just dig this hole a little deeper. What if there's a way to do War Machine that is a summon? You know what I mean? Like there's War Machine files in there. You don't necessarily need to complete them, you know? You just need to just make them like somewhat playable, maybe like one or two attacks and somehow tie them into an artifact, maybe, right? It's like team up characters from Marvel Heroes, right? Anyone who's played Marvel Heroes are familiar with team up characters, right? And it's like a little companion that went around and just kicked ass for you, right? Like there is precedence for
Mm,
this, and now we're seeing
yeah, for
precedence within
sure.
this game. So now there is the possibility that these things start coming up a little more than maybe we think, you know?
Well, I mean, with Hank, it makes sense because we've seen him do it, and we know obviously
Mm-hmm.
it's attached to particle damage. Uh, with anything else, I couldn't think of what a War Machine one would look like in regards to having the extra perks on. I mean, but I do get what you're saying. Like, say for example, the Guardians were in this game, right?
Sure.
And you could summon Rocket or Groot if you could play as only one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I totally understand it, but I think that you know, I, I don't know. I don't know. You blow my mind a little bit. I'm
It's
kind
one
of
of those
like,
things, right? It's like one of those things where you just got to think about it a little bit. And like, I'm obviously not going to press it this week, but it is something to think about. Like, you know, maybe some of these characters that were going to be kind of clone characters, evidently, think of a She-Hulk, for example, think of a War Machine, for example. Now maybe they take some of the more unique parts of them, instead of saying we're going to make these a full-blown character, we're going to make them an artifact summon. Regardless of how you do it, you can bullshit some other way to do it, right? Maybe it's a portal, maybe it's whatever. But now the door's open. I'm saying it, the door's open, right? Like this,
well,
I don't think this is going to be a one and done, right? I think
yeah.
the idea, listen, right now I can tell you that the conversation around the Hank Pym artifact is like excitement. You know what I mean? It's cool. People like it, and now the artifact is really good. Yeah, okay. Like people are really going to want this more. And now the
Well,
conversation is going to shift to what
yeah.
other characters could do it.
Here's the thing: is that they still have side characters that could fit into this. We could have Theo come in and
Hmm.
help us out a little bit. We could even have like I don't know, some sort of like we could have a thing maybe from his sister to finally give her something to do where she like makes these like portals to maybe
Hmm.
make the enemies take some crazy fall damage or something, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously they would play differently for obvious reasons, So like you could
Right.
still have both of them in there. You could have maybe both. Maybe they both do something. Theo teleports in to fight, and I can't remember his sister's name, but the other
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
makes portals and like flips them up and they drop down cool full damage, right? Depending if you're
Yeah.
aiming, or towards them or something. And stuff like that. You've got those side characters, maybe Maria Hill can drop in.
Yep.
It's really fun things like that. And obviously they could work for multiple different things. Like maybe when Maria Hill comes in, your I don't know, your defense is better and you've got some sort of status effect. Maybe just throw
Sure.
one in there like plasma,
Yep.
right? Whatever.
Yep.
But the point is, people are not gonna like. For example, this Hank Pym one, it's excellent. Everything
Yep.
else is excellent, but people are more focused on summoning Hank Pym, which is
Yep.
which is why you could just spam. You could put a bunch of stat sticks on for all we care. We want to summon fucking Maria Hill. Do you know
Yep.
what I mean? Like,
Yep.
and there we go. So you're definitely onto something with that. It's not going to be the last time we see it.
No, I would be very surprised if this is a door they open and then walk away from. This to me just like is like a perfect way to get like more Marvel characters in the door, and like maybe leave it open for like, hey, maybe this could be like a full character someday. But like also giving like the representation to the fans of those characters, saying like, yeah, your character's in the game, it's there. You know what I mean? Like it is a cheap little way to do it depending on who you ask, but it's still a way to do it. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if they've already started designing more of these. Just saying.
Well, I remember from a while ago, there was a leak from Miller that spoke about Nick Fury's iconic outfit,
Hmm.
and that was kind of like a little thing where people like, is he going to be playable? Because obviously, why name his
Hmm.
costume iconic? Maybe he's a summon.
Maybe he's a summon. Yeah.
Maybe he's a summon. Which would make a lot of sense. And
Yep.
obviously, you know, he's got to have sort of an outfit name, right? If he's going to
Yep.
be in
Like
somewhat
internally,
combat form,
yeah.
yeah.
Internally, he's got to have a name for it. Yeah, and it just seems like they just call it iconic because that's what their designs are called, right? Like their original designs are called iconic. So like it would make sense. Yeah. Once again.
Maybe in the other consoles, maybe one artifact can be the PlayStation, and you chuck it on the ground, and Spider-Man pops up and fights with you for a little bit, and then he tells you to go fuck yourself, and then he...
You just ruined it. You ruined it. You ruined it, dude. That's fine. We were having a nice, mature conversation. Now you said Spider-Man's gonna pop in and tell me to fuck myself. That's great. That's great. All right. Well, it's nice to know that there is people actually messing around with it right now. Be nice to get my hands on it and see what it's all about. Obviously, I think
For
that's
sure. I,
that's the whole excitement of it, right? To see,
yeah.
just see Hank Pym come out and
I'm
just shoot some
scared though.
guys.
I'm scared because
Why?
I've only done my dailies, so
Oh,
I'm
I
scared that
think
I'm
there's
going.
I think there's a way you like time skip. I'm not 100% yet, but I think you can time skip and you'll be all right.
Oh, okay. I'll have to call up Lejeune. He's clearly like the tech guy in Avengers at the moment.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's who I call when I'm going through issues too. So, speaking of tech, I see I'm segueing here. The tech that happened on Thursday was a big 24-hour charity stream that Stardust organized off the back of his YouTube success here, and obviously everything that has gone on with him. He decided to organize a 24-hour charity stream relay that took place. Stardust, why don't you talk to us, me and the audience, about Thursday and how it went, and just everything from start to finish about it. How was it?
I it almost feels like it didn't happen because it's
Okay.
so crazy to me that it took place. So I'll give it a little bit of like more context. So essentially,
Mhm.
the original goal was £500 for Cancer Fund for Children, right?
Yes. Yes.
uh, right before the event started, because I was getting dressed up. I thought like I'm gonna fucking Jeff Keighley this shit, right? I'm gonna make sure this is sort of like as posh as possible. And then I
Okay.
see £300. I think, oh god. All right, and then I get on. I'm like, hey, how we doing? We had some technical issues and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Panicked,
Yeah.
freaked, but managed to fix it. And then literally as I pressed start on the stream, boom, and I was like, oh, hey guys, I'm going to go check the Just Giving page so I can thank people who have already donated. It's on 700. What? Like,
Yeah.
smash the goal straight out the gate. I was thinking that's crazy. So
Yeah.
then, as we were progressing, we went to 1,000. I think about just over halfway. It was 1,212, and then the final amount I can happily announce was £1,542 for Cancer Fund for Children. They were ecstatic. Like I'm just on
Yeah.
the Twitter page right now to get some like genuine, like see what they've put and stuff. They thank the page as well. They put here it is. Massive thank you to Assemble for Charity, an amazing total raise from your first ever event to support children and young people impacted by cancer. And it's what it's all about, right? And
Yeah. Of course.
it was awesome to be able to see that. And it was one of them situations where like I didn't realize how long 3 hour streams were until I had to watch about 8 of them.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those things where like because I was sort of the one the one in charge of making sure that people knew when it was over and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was staring at the screen thinking to myself like, oh my god, there's 2 hours left, I have to get ready.
Yeah.
Like, and then I was it was the transitions between streamer to streamer that had me most nervous because I was like, I need these to look well, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
when there were technical issues that would stop people from coming in on time, I was like, oh my god, it's ruined. Everyone's leaving. Everyone's leaving. But the people that
Right.
were watching the event knew what was going on. You know what I mean? Like I had
Yep.
help from Suki to write this little post, basically being like, guys, it's the first event. We're not going to be perfect. Here's what to expect. And people stuck around and people were great for it. So I can't be
Yeah.
more grateful for the community that were able to, keep at watch, give as much love as possible. Of course, we smashed the donation goal, and
Yep.
it means a lot to me. And it's something that I truly enjoy doing, and it's something that you know I'd love to do in the future. So if anyone in the comments and stuff, has sort of like any ideas or knows, so is like the friend of a cousin of the best friend of like John Cena or something, and he fancies playing some Avengers or whatever. I'm just saying I can get in contact. My point is doors open now for big things in the future, and
Right.
as much as it is assembled for charity, I'm not against trying out different stuff.
Yep.
I'm not against using the umbrella to go in different directions. Like I said, I know that, and this isn't me trying to do a Scott Amos situation and try and beg WWE to come and talk to me, but I
I'm just going with it, man. I'm just letting you have your moment here. Have your
anyway.
moment. Have your moment.
Sorry, I know that the WWE guys are they're big gamers and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
I'd love to do stuff with them, and stuff like that. Like the doors are open, and it's an exciting time, and I just I want people to know that I never expect to see a single pence coming out of these events. Any
Yeah.
money I would ever make off anything comes from Slight Stardust stuff, and that's it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's
Of
just
course.
really fun organizing it, getting it done, seeing the amount raised for charity, and just seeing how buzzed they are. And that's it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, like, when the event was over, I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna have a little bit of a break, just stay away from social media for a little bit. But then when I remembered the world that I'm living in, I was like, fine. And I went back on
Can't do
Discord
it.
the
Eh?
next day, and everyone was showing love, and it was
Yeah.
just nice, and
Yep.
it was yeah. Couldn't
It's just
couldn't
it's nice to be able to do things like that, right? Like give I won't say like give back or give to other people. It's just nice to kind of make someone else's day, right? And when you're able to kind of do that, and I said it before, I said it on my blog of the stream. I said this community can be a bunch of degenerates in the best way possible, right? We argue, we bicker, but there was a lot of people who came together to kind of raise the money that was raised, right? Like, and it was a good thing. Like, it was a great thing to do. It really made a difference, and that's really what it's all about, like we could argue all day and long about this character, that piece of content, this, that, whatever, but when it's all on the line, it's just really nice to know that there are people within this community who will actually step forward. And to the credit, we've seen this before, right? We've seen the subreddit, which I've called a dumpster fire. We've seen them raise money too, right? Like it now. So, and now we have this, right? Like, it actually is nice to see that this community, on of two very different spectrums of, like, the Twitch community and the subreddit community, just come together and do something nice, and like I said, that's really what it's all about, when you can kind of take a bunch of people who have a common interest and just do something good. And I mean, honestly, man, I just want to say thank you for, like, obviously coming up with the idea and putting in that initial that work to kind of get it going, because, like, without you, none of this happens. You know what I mean? Like, we don't talk about this. We don't talk about it the past 3 weeks. Like, I don't have an 18-hour day on Thursday. You know what I mean? Really, thank you for that one. Um,
I
but it's
did
just
it
it's
just in spite.
I know, trust me, I know that. But it's one of those things where it's just like, without you, it doesn't happen. So obviously, thank you for kind of stepping up to the plate, coming up with the idea, actioning on the relay part of it, making sure you assembled the right amount of people, the people you wanted, and kind of putting it into work. Obviously there was people along the way that helped, but as the brainchild of everything, just obviously thank you for kind of doing that. And I'm sure the people, whether it was the people from the charity themselves, or kind of everyone around you, I hope that people recognize the amount of work that it takes to kind of run something like that. You know what I mean?
Gonna cry.
Yeah, I know. It's probably the nicest. It's the nicest thing I'll ever say to you. Let's just put it that way. We'll never have.
Everyone clip that or
Well,
whatever,
yeah,
record
it
it,
doesn't work. It
or
doesn't work like that on YouTube. Sorry, buddy. But no, seriously, man. Like, it's. I've done a little bit of work with people, with seniors before, and obviously I know people who have been impacted by cancer. I've been lucky enough that my family's been pretty lucky that nothing's happened, but it's not like I don't know anyone who's been impacted by it, right? So
yeah,
it's one of those things where, if you can do some good, you can put some goodwill together, and you can raise some money and, bring awareness to some of these things, then, kudos to anyone who kind of puts forth that effort and those ideas and really actions on it, because, it's that stuff that matters, like the internet arguments and stuff like that. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? But when you can kind of do something good for someone else who may not even expect it, right? None of those kids are going to expect the influx of money that may help them, right?
for
But they're
sure,
gonna
yeah.
they're gonna benefit from it, right? So, um, yeah, I mean, kudos to everyone who took part, all the streamers, everyone who helped you organize, the Twitch mods, people who donated, like the people who put their money into that,
Oh
obviously,
my God, some
you
people
know,
that did that
yeah,
insane amount of money.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Like,
it's one of those things where everyone who took part deserves a little bit of thanks, because, yeah, I mean,
absolutely, yeah,
so I
absolutely.
mean, yeah, kudos to everyone, shout out to everyone who took part in that. And I, obviously I look forward to what you got going on next. Whether it's the same charity or different one. Obviously, you've shown that you can work on something like that. You can action on something like that, and it's really good to see. And hopefully the next one, just keeps going bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, I would love to see, a crazy big event centered around Avengers, similar to what the Destiny community did all those years ago, right? Like all those guys created a monster of an event just based around just giving to people, doing something nice. There's nothing saying this community can't do something even bigger, like you have a game that is based off one of the biggest IPs that has reach, that has, media reach, and you're doing something great for people that that has media reach as well. Like there's only to go up from here is what I'm trying to say, right? And
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something nice again. When you're when you're as dedicated as you are, there's no shut up. There is no telling the heights that you can take it. So obviously, once again, kudos to you, man. So you did good, and that was probably the last nice thing I'm going to say to you for the next
I
week.
don't know. I don't know if you could tell, but I really struggled to take your compliments. Then I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like,
It's just one of those things you don't expect it. I know, man. I've built up this this cold exterior, and I'm just a cold guy. But no, I mean, like, it's just one of those things that means a lot, man. Like I know, like I said, I know people who've been impacted by it. I know the devastation that stuff like that can have on families and stuff. And I worked with people who had lost husbands, wives, family members to cancer, and when you put your kind of words or your money where your mouth is, or you kind of work on it, like you do put an impact. You impact these people's lives. You know what I mean? So I was happy to help out. I was happy to do my slot, try to do my best on it. And it was a great time all around, man. Great time all around. So once again, dude, thank you for kind of organizing it. Thank you for kind of taking the initiative to get started, and I can't wait to see what you got going on next.
oh, I don't want to. Kind of
Do you
speechless.
do you need a moment? Do you need a moment? Guys, if you don't know, I kind of bully Stardust a lot. No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't, but I'm never this nice to him. So
He
I
does.
kind of
He does bully me,
I
everyone.
broke his brain a little bit here, but
Everyone,
um
he bullies me all the time.
yeah, okay. Okay.
I'm literally like, it literally, as soon as I get on here, he's like, you're a failure, right? I'm the man here, and I'm like, okay, sorry. Just want everyone to know that.
Thanks, dude. Really appreciate that one. Really appreciate that one. That was really nice of you to say that. That was really nice of you to say that. After I go on like a 10-minute speech about how good you are, you're gonna say that? That's crazy.
What do you mean? I'm telling people that you're the man. What?
I don't need the. Good God. I'm
All
done with
right.
this. I'm done with this.
This has become a podcast of me and High Ruler. It's the fanfic everyone's been waiting for.
I don't think
Ruler.
so. I don't think
It's
so.
what everyone's been wanting, and
Oh God.
I'm just saying this is High. I knew it from the very first day we came on here, and people were saying I sound like Tom Holland. I was like, I see you, High Ruler. You're sliding into my DMs a bit more often lately. Like, guys, it's I mean, look, I don't judge you. It's 2021, but I'm taken, man.
You really think you're funny? Just so we're clear, right?
Yeah.
You really think you're funny?
You tell me that the comments are not going to laugh at this exchange. You tell me
No,
right
they're not.
now.
They're gonna hate every second of it and tell me to kick you off, probably.
No, they're gonna write Google Docs of a story,
Oh,
and I'm gonna read them out.
No,
You know
no.
what? Right? Can I do
Yeah,
a call
please,
to
man.
action?
Yeah, please. I mean, you do it every week, so why not?
Okay, so for anyone who's just listened to that, if you guys write a fan fiction of me and High Ruler, I will read it for a video, and then I will also bring that video to High Ruler so he can also watch them. Please
That
do
sounds
that.
like a great idea. I can't wait for that.
The sarcasm, the absolute.
I hope no one does that.
So that gives you more incentive, people to do that for sure.
Great. I'm gonna really wrap this up now because I really don't like where this conversation's going.
You want to save the best for last. I understand.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I think we're not going to do Q&As this week just because we're already over 2 hours. Um, I think what we'll do next week, I kind of predict next week's going to be a little lighter on news unless like the dev stream really pops off. So maybe what we'll do next week is we'll just kind of blow through all the Q&As that we have and just kind of do like a Q&A session almost. Because I can't see next week being that big of a news week, you know? Like I could be wrong. I just don't see it. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. We'll do a little Q&A thing. I mean, obviously, you'll probably get some different questions.
I mean, I got some
Uh,
questions here. It's just there's like a level of depth that I would love to go on to these questions that would mean that like next week is probably preferable, you know?
I'm really hoping that some of these questions have got something to do with that fanfic that I
Uh,
requested, so I can really go into
anyways,
detail.
guys. Anyways, guys. With that being said, obviously this has been episode number 6 of your Avengers Weekly Recap. We recapped Future Imperfect, the Square Enix Presents, the Roadmap War for Wakanda, the dev stream a little bit, and the charity stream also. We recapped just how uncomfortable I am right now. So with that being said, obviously Stardust, I will give you the chance to shout out your stuff, and yeah, we'll start wrapping up here.
Getting really weird not having to promote this charity anymore. So
I
let's uh,
know.
let's let's go back to doing what I'm good at and shilling myself. So
Okay.
obviously, Slight Stardust on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Stardust on YouTube for the URL on YouTube, and then Twitter, Slight Stardust, Twitch, Slight Stardust. That's it. There you go.
All
All right,
right.
there you go.
All
That
right,
was nice and
guys.
snappy, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty good, man. You're getting better at this every week. All right, guys. If you know me, you obviously know that I'm High Ruler. I run Assemble Podcast. And if you like what you see here, you like all the content, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Tomorrow night, Monday night, the 22nd, I'll be live doing Marvel Monday. We'll be playing some Hawkeye. Maybe I'll break out the Xbox. We'll play on some Xbox. But I'll be live tomorrow. And with that being said, guys, obviously thank you guys for making it through the marathon session here, almost 2 hours, over 2 hours. And with that being said, Stardust and myself will see you guys next week for the next episode of your Avengers Weekly Recap. So with that being said, guys, once again, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.